Close to 500 programs opened a year in the heat of August. 4 months later, the 12 remaining teams still with a shot at winning a state championship already here at Hershey Park Stadium. The Single A championship game featuring Lackawanna Trail, the Lions at 14-1, District 2 champions, taking on Farrell, the Steelers, a perfect 14-0, and champions out of District 10. Very pleasant good afternoon and welcome to Hershey Park Stadium. Mike Zambelli pleased to be joined by Jim Wills, our Single A championship game. And what a matchup, Jim. Two community-based schools, two small schools, and it's all that is good about high school football in the state of Pennsylvania.
No question about it, Mike. These are my favorite times to see the 1A groups because, you know, the towns rally around them, really small groups. Everybody's man up, and this is the way it's going to be here this afternoon.
The Lions of Lackawanna Trail making their first ever appearance in a championship game. They won their first 6 games of the year, lost in week 7 to Old Forge 28-21. They atoned for that victory 4 weeks later, 29-12. They have won 8 straight, including a win over Juniata-Valla last week, 24-14. Steve Jervis is the 10th year head coach, 71-44, the District 2 championship, the second in his 10-year reign. If they're going to be successful, Jim, they're going to have to rush the football. We're going to get a look at a outstanding sophomore in Ray Melnikoff.
Ray Melnikoff's done a great job for him, Mike. Last week, 16 carries, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns, and had a game-winning interception at the end of the game last week to beat Juniata-Valla.
Well, for Farrell, they have been relatively unchallenged, only have trailed twice all year. Their closest game, a win against Wilmington in week 2, a 12-point final, though. We'll see them in the 2A final tomorrow afternoon. Coming off a win against Our Lady of the Sacred Heart, 41-10. Jared Samuels is 11th year, 115 up, 32 down. He's a graduate of the school class of 1990. Boy, are we going to get a look at some athlete at quarterback in Kai Wright.
Oh, he's a specimen, whether you're looking at 1 through 6 levels. He's the real deal. On the season, 1,635 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, and he can run with the ball as well, 586 yards and 12 touchdowns as well. He's the real deal going to Pitt.
Well, mention these two communities coming together here in Hershey. They are separated by close to 300 miles. On the Pennsylvania border is Farrell, located on Romer Boulevard. About a 4-hour ride here, 4 hours, 6 minutes. If you Google it, 261 miles for Lackawanna. They're located just a little north of Scranton, a little better than 2 hours ride here to Hershey, or 132 miles. The schools are separated if you drove from one to the other by about 4 hours and 41 minutes, but they will meet here in Hershey. And of course, the real road to the championship, Jim, happened in the Single A bracket. As we get a look at it, Jeanette, your defending champion down there at the bottom, lost in the opening round to Rochester. Of course, Rochester then losing eventually to Our Lady of Sacred Heart. But two deserving programs, and we should have a heck of a game here.
Yeah, Farrell did a nice job going through there, beating Shade, beating Coudersport, and then the big win last week against Our Lady of Sacred Heart, you know, holding one of the all-time leading passers in the Whippeal to under 100 yards. So the thing of it is, they did a great job. Lackawanna Trail did as well. Halifax, one of the best years they had all year, and then they did a good job beating Juniata-Valla.
Jim, 5th appearance for Farrell, 2nd in the last 2 years. Disappointed a couple of years ago. Mercy rolled by Bishop Guilfoyle. We'll talk more about that. First appearance for Lackawanna Trail. How does that factor in what we'll see here this afternoon?
Very tough when your first appearance, Lackawanna Trail. That's going to be a very, very problematic thing for them here today. Farrell, those kids that were freshmen were on that group, you know, or seniors this year were freshmen on that group that got beat a couple years ago. So that'll be a big factor.
Well, and now send you down to midfield. We'll toss the coin to see who's going to get their hands on the football first. Public address announcer Bob Schellenberger.
Number 57, Kobe Hilton. The Lions have won the toss. They've deferred their choice to the second half. Farrell has elected to receive to begin the game.
Elected to receive the ball. Lackawanna will kick from the scoreboard. We'll go that way. Shake hands, gentlemen. Let's have a great game.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we ask you please rise. Gentlemen, if you please remove your hats. We ask all military personnel, active or retired, please render a hand salute as we honor the United States of America. Salute its leaders and members of the armed forces with the singing of the Star Spangled Banner to be sung today by Northern High School seniors Dan Curry, Joe Richwine, and Marcus Jacobs. Ladies and gentlemen, we present with pride and much gratitude our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, who'd cross stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight? O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
God bless America.
This is the 31st year of the state football championships overall. All got underway back in 1988. This is the 21st consecutive year that all the games will be played here at Hershey. There were some prior to that, but they kind of spread them around throughout different venues throughout the state of Pennsylvania. It's Steve Degler, the third member of our broadcast team, on a windy, chilly afternoon, Steve, but two head coaches are more than excited to be on this stage.
You are certainly right, Mike, and we'll start with Coach Jervis for Lackawanna Trail. You guys mentioned their first time here. They've been to the semis twice before, last time in 2003. I said, are you worried that your team will be nervous early on, maybe have some early game jitters? He said, some seasons I would, not today. I have a very senior-laden team. We are ready to go. For Jarrett Samuels, you referenced it. They were here in 2015, lost 35-0 to Bishop Guilfoyle. They dropped semifinal matches each of the last 2 years. He said, for us, the motivation is all about redemption. We want the championship in this 100th season of football at Farrell High School. Mike?
You're absolutely right. He was adamant about it. He used the word revenge, and he used the word that that is fresh in our mind. That disappointing. Not only did they lose, but they were mercy ruled. They'll try and put that behind them here this afternoon. They're going to get their hands on the football first. Deep to receive is Christian Lewis. He's returned a kick return for a touchdown already this year. He is joined by number 5, Jordan Towson, and Nathan Rolka, the do-everything athlete for the Lions, getting ready to get us underway here. First of 3 days, 6 total championship games, and off we go. And a squib kick to start the game. And a flag to start the game as well. So a false start.
The receiving team was beyond the line. 5-yard penalty.
So we will try it again. Referee William McKeever Sr., Daniel J. McKeever, Brian Jem Semeriglia, Frank Powers, Joe Kelly Jr., William McKeever Jr., Joe Kelly Sr. Steve Degler will have more on that interesting lineup right there. 3 McKeevers and a couple of Kellys will be working the game here this afternoon. Steve will talk more about those guys a little later on in the football game. So a false start. We'll try it again from 5 yards closer. Not surprising to see Rolka just kind of squib that, Jim. They just don't want to give this explosive team an opportunity to try and return things in another squib kick. Fielded just outside the 20-yard line. And on the return is number 5, Jordan Towson. Towson gets it to about the 25-yard line. Well, we talked about number 2 in the opening. He is a Pitt recruit and an impressive young man, 6'3", 240 pounds, and there was a fumble on that play, and it looks like the Lions have come up with it already.
This is going to be a big break right here. You're going to see the hit come in there. Number 81 puts a big hit inside, and then there's a strip. You can see number 55 in there for Lackawanna Trail does a nice job. Jacob Brim sticking his hand in there and knocking that ball out.
Well, one of the things that Steve Jervis shared with us, and he shared it with Steve Degler as well, is he said, we have a group that we know will get after it. We feel we're a physical football team, and that's physical play number 1 to start this afternoon for them. So Rocco will start, and another flag out already. We haven't run an offensive play, and we've gotten 2 penalty markers.
On the defense, 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
And 12 guys on the field. That's not the way you wanted to start if you're Farrell.
No, this has been 2 big breaks here for Lackawanna Trail here early, Mike, and it's going to be interesting to see how that wing T operates now against that tough defense of the Steelers.
Oh, Rolka at 6'3", 210-pound senior. What an athlete he is. They have faked the speed sweep, trying to set up that screen, and it is complete to Melnikoff. Melnikoff twisting and fighting. He has 15 yards and a first down to the 11, brought down by Anthony Jackson, number 23. Take a look at the Lions' starting offense, and Jim obviously led by Nathan Rolka, but all those running backs, and Coach couldn't speak highly enough about that line and their ability to open things up for their backfield mates.
Right, Moyle and Melnikoff, the running backs, are doing a good job, but that line is going to be the key this afternoon.
Lions averaging 24.9 points per game. Here is Melnikoff. He's to the 5 into the end zone. Lions touchdown. They lead it 6-0.
Nice job opening up on that right side of that offensive line. That's what you're going to be looking at all afternoon to see how that right side does a good job. That side is Jacob Brim and Robin Davis on that side. Open up a big hole. Take a look at it right here. You're going to see, look at him pulling out, that guard pulling out there. Number 55 did a great job pulling out there. We talked about Jacob Brim already with the fumble punch. Right there, he did a great job on the block.
Well, you get one chance to make a first impression in Lackawanna Trail in their first state championship game, and what a start it is for them. Rolka's point is up and good, and less than a minute into the football game, and the Lions leading it 7-0 over the Farrell Steelers. 8-game winning streak coming in, including 24-14 last week. Steve Jervis, a former high school quarterback at Tunkhannock, was 1,000-yard career passer or his senior year, and what another nice opening, as you mentioned, Jim.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that they're a machine on that offensive line. They're not the biggest. They're going to be beat by size all day long, but they're a machine on there, and they're going to make it work, and they did that time.
Melnikoff, a reception in the possession, 10 yards. A rush for 11 yards in the TD. He's the young man that you talked about. And Jim, I don't care, you really have to be a gifted athlete to just, number one, to play as a 10th grader and an underclassman at this level, but yet to be the player he is has just been phenomenal.
Yeah, he's done a great job. As we talked about in the open, he did a great job last week on the interception to put the game away for Lackawanna Trail, which was a big deal. But he's just been so consistent all year. And when you're in that wing T, that fullback's a popular position.
Rolka again, and this time they will kick it deep. And at the 7-yard line, this is Towson once again. Towson trying to atone for that mistake. He's on his feet and finally brought down at the 45-yard line. Nico Barrios, the starting cornerback there to make the tackle. And a nice return as Towson trying to atone for that miscue on the first one, and there you got to look at the offensive numbers of Kai Wright, but he means so much to this team on both sides of the football.
Yeah, that's just the passing right there, the running as well with 12 touchdowns and over 500 yards. So he can do both, Mike. He's very multi-talented, and they're fortunate to have him in that quarterback position.
Wright will start under center out of the traditional I formation. Motion man is Towson, and the toss is to Christian Lewis. Lewis off left tackle. He's into the second tier, and a gain of close to 16, tripped up and brought down by Mark Dunkel. But a first down on their first offensive play.
Going to take a look here at the Farrell Steelers. As we said, Kai Wright, the quarterback, Christian Lewis, did a great job all year long, over 2,219 yards for him this year. So that's the thing you want to look at there. And their offensive line, tremendous as well.
Well, anchored by number 57, Kobe Hilton. Here is Lewis once again. Lewis busting through defenders. He's to the 20, the 10. Touchdown, Farrell. 40 yards on the scamper for Christian Lewis, his team-leading 34th touchdown of the year. That is also a school record. Steve Degler talked about the 100-year anniversary of this program, and nobody has done it better than Christian Lewis in a single season.
No question about it. He got some great blocks by that offensive line. We talked about them up front, those big guys up front. Hilton, Hobson, both Hobsons in the center position and the guard position. Those kind of guys are going to give you big blocks up front, and it's just going to be getting him to that second level, and that's where they got him.
Brian Hilton on to attempt a point after, and will somehow drive it through. The extra point is good. Good job by Christian Hartley, who is the holder. This team has a lot of two-point conversions on the year, and Coach Samuels elaborated on it. He says, well, we lost our holder to a broken hand, and we developed Hartley, the backup quarterback. Boy, he earned his keep there to get that ball down for the successful extra point. Here's another look at the touchdown.
Well, you take a look at it right there. You see 75 and 57. They're the guys that are doing the work right there. Kobe Hilton and Melvin Hobson. Those are the guys that open that huge hole up. Then you're going to see him, once he gets into that second level, you're going to see that speed he has. And that's the key, to get past that first one. That was the thing right there. They had a shot at him. That was the key. And you're not going to get more than one shot at him sometimes. So you got to make good on that first shot, and they didn't.
So many single-season records for the Albany-bound Christian Lewis, 6-foot senior, 185 yards. As you get a look back at the possession, and who'd have thought, 7-7. We haven't played 2 minutes of football.
Yeah, it's been very, very good. And it's kind of what you expected here, but not the breaks that the trail got in the first part. But this is what you're going to see from Farrell, that running of the football, Mike. They ran it last week so very, very successfully. They rushed for 332 yards last week.
Jim, I'm not so sure that this pace of the game needs to slow down a little bit for Lackawanna Trail if they're going to be successful. They averaged 24.9 a game, but Farrell's used to scoring 48.8. If you get into some kind of a shootout, at least the numbers might indicate that might be an advantage, or at least favor the Steelers.
No question about it. That would favor the Steelers, Mike. They don't want to be running uphill. They don't want to be chasing points all day long, and that's why it was so important for Lackawanna Trail to get those breaks early and get those points on the board early to put themselves in a position to be tied right now.
Didn't get a chance to finish my point on Kobe Hilton. He is a 6'4 senior, 283-pounder, number 57. He has started each and every game in his career. This is his 57th career start. The program is 50-6. with big number 57 there lined up at the tackle position, and of course making their second state championship game appearance. That ball was downed, and you're going to get a flag. Keep in mind, in the high school game, that you don't have to be down by contact. If you have the football and your knee hits the turf, you are downed. And there was obviously some extra play at the end after the whistle had blown.
Number 8, Zach Steck on the reception of that kickoff.
After the play, got a personal foul on the kicking team. 15-yard penalty, first down.
Well, you're going to see his knee had touch the ground. You're going to see Zach Steck pick the ball up. He's already on the ground. His knee's down, so he's down. So the play is over, and that's what number 26 didn't see that, so that's kind of on him. But the thing of it is, that's one of those things where you can't help it because he wasn't really looking past.
The thing that we don't hear there is when the whistle blow. Of course, once you're the knee is, and you have to understand the rules, obviously, as you said. So the penalty will move the football out to the 47-yard line. Lions getting their second possession. They are the 5th from the Lackawanna Football Conference to make it to the state finals, and one of their nemesis, Dunmore, talking to coach, has been very supportive. They go to that buck sweep and no running room for Cody Moyle. Brian Hilton, number 12, from the defensive line, to to make the stop. Let's take a look at this Steelers defense. And Jim, so much you get locked up in the offensive numbers. How about 6.9 points a game and 4 shutouts on the year?
Yeah, and it's ball those linebackers, Wrights, Hammonds, Green, Jackson. Those guys have done a great job. Quarterbacks Lewis, Samuels, and Harper coming up quick to stop people. That time you saw Brian Hilton coming off the edge right there, doing a nice job off the D-line there, and they switch him back and forth on either side of the line to get advantage of his speed.
We asked Coach Samuels about preparing for the wing T offense. He says, we're prepared. We see it with Wilmington, who they beat by 12 earlier this season. So he feels very confident in his team's skill set to try and slow that down. Going to a screen, the pass was complete to Moyle, but Melvin Hobson, number 75, was right there. Maybe a gain of a yard. It'll bring up 3rd and long.
Well, Moyle had 51 yards in the game last week. As you're going to see, he's still down on the ground there, so that's an injury for Lackawanna Trail. But the thing of it is, they had that same play that they ran earlier in the ball game, got it smelled out quickly, as you talked about by Melvin Hobson.
Well, Moyle, 98 carries, 822 yards on the year. He's been a big part of their attack. He had 10 carries, 51 yards in their win last week. But not only, and Steve Degler is going to talk a little bit more about this as the day goes on, only 27 in uniform, Jim, and needless to say, you can ill afford injuries. But when you lose a guy like Cody Moyle, not only do you lose, if that's the case, a running back, but you lose your starting outside linebacker as well. So now, in essence, you got to replace 2 guys.
Yeah, you do, and they've had a tough season. They lost number 23, Noah Coleman, one of their captains. In the beginning of the season, he played the first 3 games, got hurt against Montrose, and then he targeted Week 11 to come back with the rematch with Old Forge, and then he played in that Old Forge game. Mike had 1 carry for 1 yard and broke a bone again. So they're really thin at that running back position, so that's going to play a big factor here this afternoon.
Yeah, depth will always be a concern. Remind our viewers and listeners, follow PCN TV on Facebook and Twitter to stay up to date on upcoming PIAA championship action on PCN, and cheer on your team using hashtag PIAA on PCN. Beautiful Hershey Park Stadium. That's a bit of good news, you think, but he's having an awful tough time putting all his weight. We certainly hope for the best there. That would be very unfortunate. Steve, you have more on the limited numbers and how it affects the program?
Yeah, Mike, you talked about 27 players on the roster, but Coach Jervis said that's deceiving. You mentioned Noah Coleman, Jim, injured his collarbone in Week 3, had surgery, came back in the district title game, hurt it again. There's another player out with an ACL tear, one with concussion, one with mono. Coach Jervis said we practice with maybe 21 or 22 guys. Our freshman coaches help out in practice. He said what we do is we watch a lot of film, and he credits his scout team as being a critical part of the team's success. He said they take a lot of pride getting the team prepared each week.
Very important part of successful programs. Here is Rolka trying to turn it into a first down, and he will do just that. Had 3rd and about 12, able to scamper forward for about a 14-yard gain and a first down for the Lions.
Well, the thing of it is, he had 733 yards on the season rushing. He's just as potent when he runs with the ball as when he passes the ball, Mike. And that's the thing. He is the ultimate dual-threat quarterback. And you see how he did a good job there, seeing where the first down was and getting the first down for the Lions.
Mentioned head coach Steve Jervis went on to play college baseball at Lafayette College. He was a fine quarterback as well. He's got to see a little of himself in this guy. Rolka's a commit to go to Delaware, where he is projected to be a pitcher. He's a heck of a baseball player as well, but Coach talked about him and being a 4-year starter and having him in there and how comfortable he makes everybody around him.
Yeah, no question about it, Mike. He's had a great career. He's 37-14 as a starter, so he's had a great career for Lackawanna Trail, and you can see he just makes good decisions. He's going to play baseball in college, but as Coach said, he probably could have played football a couple of places as well.
Melnick, a nice run on first down. Melnikoff, brings up a 2nd and short. And these are the down and distances that this team wants to be in here throughout the course of this afternoon.
No question about it, Mike. They want to control the clock. They want to control the tempo. They want to keep that offense with Kai Wright off the field. That's going to be the key for them here this afternoon, no question about it. The longer they can move the chains, the longer they can control and be physical up front, the better off they're going to be.
5th first down of the game for Lackawanna Trail. Well, their numbers, they average 53.5 yards per game passing, 8 touchdowns. Rushing-wise, different story, 268 and change, and they have rushed for 50 touchdowns on the year. So it's pretty obvious what they want to do with this wing T offense.
Yeah, the thing of it is they've averaged over 327 yards in the postseason, so that's been a good thing for them. They've really kind of upped the ante here in the postseason with the running.
Olka, no problem with a snap from center. And that's just a good effort there by Melnikov to turn it into positive yard. Then had disaster written all over it. Christian Lewis, defensive back, number 1, up to make the tackle.
Well, you've had that feeling, Mike. This is the guy you wanted on your side when you played fumble rumble in the backfield, in the backyard. This is the guy you want because you can see already he's not going to go down in that first hit. He's going to keep the legs churning. And he's going to keep moving.
7:21 to go, opening quarter here, our Single A championship. Glad you could join us on the Pennsylvania Cable Network, working into our 3rd decade now of covering these high school football championships. Rolka on the keeper, drives forward for a couple. Tymir Green, the linebacker, with help from Anthony Jackson, combining on the tackle. And here's a bit of good news for the Lions. It looks like Cody Moyle across the way appears to be okay. That's a good sign.
That's going to be very good. As you said, they're down to a couple running backs, so can't afford any of those kind of things right here this afternoon.
Football at the 23-yard line, 3rd down and 3. Rolka on the keeper. Avoids a defender in the backfield, gets about half of the 3. And it'll be 4th down and short, and would fully expect to see the Lions go for it here.
Yeah, no question about it. They're going to go for it. They tried to get a block up front by the fullback, but couldn't get it to go right there. It's a good job of plugging up that hole by number 57. Kobe Hilton did a nice job of plugging that up early. And there you see number 5 coming back in, Cody Moyle. So that's a good sign.
Kobe Hilton has a brother on the team, Brian. His dad is one of the coaches. It's one of the neat aspects of covering a game like this with 2 communities. They'll go for it on 4th and short. And it is the fullback, and Melnikov avoided a defender in the backfield and turned it into 1st down yardage. Those are the tough yards that this team needs to come up with throughout the course of this afternoon.
No question about it. That's the kind of thing you're going to... So I said, he's the guy you wanted in your backyard because he's going to take 3 or 4 guys. Look at 1, 2, 3. He's got 3 guys, 1 guy on his legs. Those are the kind of runs that are going to be important for them, and that's what that consummate fullback, only a sophomore, does a great job in that backfield.
16 carries, 156 yards, a couple of touchdowns a week ago, 2 catches, 19 yards. 9th play of the drive here for the Lions. Moyle, who just reported back into the game, resets on the right side, and there's a little of that poise that Coach talked about as Rolka saw some things he didn't like and calls for and gets the timeout. Comes with 5:17 to go here in the opening quarter. Well, prior to the start of the game, Steve Jervis weighed in on what Nathan Rolka means to this Lions football team.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have a 4-year starter starting a quarterback, as far as making adjustments and things that we need to do in game, Nate's, he's something special, and he runs the ball well, he leads the team well, and he throws the ball well. So he really, and defensively, he's been very defensive end. He's very tough to block on 3rd down situations. He's very athletic, and kicking wise, he's been steady all year in the kicking game as well.
Yeah, I still have to believe that Coach sees a lot of himself in there. Mentioned that Coach Jervis went on to play baseball at Lafayette College. He's a graduate of 1997, played for Greg Vogel there. And, of course, as we mentioned, Rolka's going to go to Delaware and continue his fine baseball career. Little or no gain here on 1st and 10. There is big Kobe Hilton. First man there defensively to limit that play. Actually going to lose a yard on 1st down.
You're going to see they go inside now to Russ, though. That's the key. They want to get somebody else new inside in the offense. They've shared this ball so well all year. Last week he had 74 yards against Junior Ada Valley in that win for the Lackawanna Trail.
4:49 and counting, opening quarter. Farrell 22 tackles for losses on the season to go along with 20.5 sacks. Rolka, play action, looking, has a man near side, and just overthrew. He had his man. That was Jordan Edwards, one of the captains of the Lions. All-league performer at defensive end, a two-way starter. Boy, they had what they wanted, just didn't execute it, Jim.
Yeah, he has 13 receptions on the season, so this is where they want to just overplay. The ball got away a little bit. You see that wobble in that ball? That got away from Rocco a little bit. Maybe the wind had something to do with that as well.
Well, we haven't talked much about the weather. The sun has popped out, and it really looks a lot nicer on your screen there than maybe it is. There's a pretty good wind howling from your right to left, and that maybe helped to carry that ball a little bit. And it is cold. It is a frigid afternoon here. Temperature's not expected to get much above the 40s as they put in a little wrinkle to that offense, go to the direct snap to Melnikov, and that didn't fool anybody, in particular linebacker Tamir Green.
No, they're stacking that line of scrimmage. You're going to see a lot of guys up front, Tamir Green being one of them up front. Got 82 tackles on the season, so he's familiar with being in the backfield as well. 3 tackles for losses, 2 fumble recoveries, so he's been in the backfield of a lot of teams this fall.
Well, see what's on the mind of the Lions here. Again, Rolka is their kicker. He's a perfect 33 for 33 on extra points. He's 3 for 4 on field goals. This one spotted at the 24-yard line, so a 34-yard attempt, straight on kicker. And didn't catch this one the way he would have liked. And the ball twists out of bounds, and the Steelers will take over on downs. We'll step aside. You're watching PCN's coverage of the Single A State Championship game.
Packed with 9 essential nutrients, low-fat chocolate milk can be an important part of your recovery routine. Refuel with chocolate milk after your next workout.
Pin it to win it with PSAC Wrestling on PCN. Watch the PSAC Wrestling Championships live on the PCN app December 8th at 6:30 p.m. PSAC, the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference, is an NCAA Division II intercollegiate conference. Cheer on your school during the Wrestling Championships live or on demand. December 8th on the PCN app. PCN, Pennsylvania Sports.
Get your brand in the game on PCN. With some of the highest ratings for high school sports across the state, PCN is your place for sponsorship opportunities. Get your message across to over 2 million people during our live sports coverage. Team up with PCN to have your brand part of every slam dunk, touchdown, and goal on PCN on cable and with the PCN app. PCN, Pennsylvania Sports.
Well, got to look at this field goal attempt, and it was one that Rolka just did not hit well. They have spotted the ball at the 2-yard line, which has the Steeler faithful a little bit on the upset side, so they will take over from their own 2-yard line and the direct snap to Kai Wright, who muscles his way out across the 5-yard line and just improving their field position the slightest bit. Jim, there are a lot of things that are going on in this game here today, but one of the things the Farrell folks talked about is the way these young men have performed in the classroom. Their starting offensive line with a GPA of 3.85. The GPA of the entire offense, 3.73, and the defensive starters, 3.57. They were very excited to share that stat with us, and deservedly so. These are young men who are really figuring it out, not just on the football field, but in the classroom as well.
Right, that was a great time when we were talking to them before the game about that, Mike. It's just academics is just as important as coming to the state championship for them. And, you know, they've done a great job all year in all facets. They have a great, good GPA and overall do a nice job. And they got a big offensive line. Don't let anybody fool you. They average 6'1", 290 across that offensive line. So they got a lot of things going for them right now, the Steelers do.
Thank Athletic Director Dan Dragasevich, who helped us out with a lot of information. They're proud of this Farrell program and deservedly throw. They have something here on first down, and uncovered was Brian Hilton near side. Hilton is to midfield and will be wrestled down by number 11, Jordan Edwards, saving the touchdown. Jim, that appeared to be a breakdown defensively by the Lions.
No question it was. And Kai Wright saw it, tapped his helmet, and they knew that they were going to go hot read to the outside, and they did exactly to the outside. Watch. Now watch out. Maybe we won't see him. There he is. He's tapping his helmet. That means a hot read to the outside. He knows he's going to go right directly to Hilton on the outside because they were in a bad situation there. They didn't have anybody out on the outside.
54 yards on the reception. Hilton coming in with 9 catches for 174 yards and 3 touchdowns. Big play offensively as the drive will continue. Started from their own 2, and look at Christian Lewis battling for extra yards. He rushed for 189 a week ago. Brought down by Josh Brown, the inside linebacker, number 56. And another injury here for Lackawanna Trail. Again, it is Cody Moyle. Medical staff getting out to him in a hurry. He was just shaken up a couple of plays ago, able to return.
Yeah, this is another tough situation. You know, we talked about that before. The guy that I talked about, Noah Coleman, he was their #1 receiver last year, Mike, and he came into the season and had all those injuries. So they've been a lot of very, very tough breaks for the Lions here when it comes to injuries and in people in pivotal places. And again, when you're a 1A school, everybody's got, a place to be. And the thing of it is, when you lose one cog, you're in trouble.
Yeah, it certainly is, as they will work on Cody Moyle. It was neat to hear from head coach Steve Jervis and the support that he talked about getting from his area. Mentioned they're the 5th from the conference to be playing in the state finals. Old Forge was here once, runner-up in 2013. Dunmore, of course, 4 times, winning a title in '89. Riverside's been here a couple of times. Valley View was here once, but he said the overall support from everybody, and that's what that community-based football is all about. He talked proudly about it and just welcomed all that support. Hopefully that young man, hopefully it works out for number 5 here this afternoon. Tough to overcome those injuries, as you said.
Yeah, it looked like they were checking for maybe a hyperextended knee there. So we'll see what happens there as he's going to the sidelines. But it doesn't look good as he's being taken off with 2 teammates right there. 63rd
season for football at Lackawanna Trail. 385, 265, and 9. This is their 8th 10-win season. 5-8 now overall in state playoff games, twice to the semifinals prior to this year. Didn't get past the Final Four in 2000, 2003. Jeff Wasilchuk, the longtime head coach, 7 District 2 championships in his tenure as the head coach. On second down, and that is right on the keeper, who turns into a fullback. Turns into a fullback with his size and tacks on a couple of extra yards to that run, and it'll meet another first down.
We're talking 6'3", 240 pounds of solid muscle here, and that's what Mike was talking about. He can really be a battering ram when he runs that football. Had a nice block up front by Lewis to give him a little bit of an edge to go inside, but he's got a really big body, projected to be probably on the defensive side when he goes to pit or at the tight end position. So those kind of things might change out of the quarterback position, but he's an athlete, no question about it, and he's doing a great job here for the Steelers.
Yeah, we talked to Coach Samuels about that. He said Wright would like to be a linebacker. He certainly is built to fit that mold. Lewis is the deep back on 1st and 10. He has the football, avoiding defenders, and look at him skip his way into the secondary. Touchdown, Farrell. They have their first lead of the afternoon. 20 yards on the touchdown scamper.
The thing of it is, they had him early. Again, Mike, and this is what I'm saying, and I'll be saying it all afternoon. You're going to see number 81 come in there for Lackawanna Trail. Zach Cost, have him by the foot, but he can't wrap him up. That's it. And once he gets into that second level, then it's problems, because Lewis's ability to go side to side can't be handled by Lackawanna Trail right now.
He has the school records for season total TDs, season rush TDs, career rushing touchdowns as well. Just been an outstanding senior year and career for Christian Lewis. On to attempt a point after is Brian Hilton, and that kick is up and good. 45 extra points on the year.
We're going to take another look here. You're going to see. Now watch how he gets in there. Look at the arm right there. Not happening for Cost. And then it's a stiff arm, and then it's the lateral movement that gets him to the outside. This is where they have to contain him. They had him contained early, but they let him go. And if you let him go, it's going to be a long afternoon for the Lions.
The drive started from their own 2-yard line. You can see 98 yards, 6 plays, 2:24 time of the possession. And then the big play, of course, was the 54-yard completion to Brian Hilton. That really got him out of danger there, backed up against their own end zone. Steve Degler with more on why we started that possession from the 2-yard line.
And Mike, it's a different rule in high school. I just talked with referee Bill McKeever Sr., and he said it's just like a free kick. The field goal attempt went out of bounds at the 2-yard line. That's where the ball was placed. He said had it gone into the end zone, it would have been a touchback. But in that situation, it went out at the 2, and that's why the drive started there, and they took it 98 yards for the go-ahead score.
So it didn't matter, Steve, whether it was blocked or not. It's just right where it went out of bounds.
Correct. It was a live football at that point, went out of bounds like a free kick, and that's why they started at the 2.
Thank you, sir. And as a result, Farrell has their first lead, and they'll just squib it here to the near side. Taking a knee at the 31-yard line was number 8, Zach Steck. Let's take a look at the Farrell defensive unit. And Jim, we talked about this group here before, 6.9 points per game, and they have just been phenomenal. 14-0 season. Closest game they've been involved in was a 31-19 final against Wilmington, who we'll see here tomorrow afternoon.
And there you see Wright at the linebacker position along with Tymir Green. Those are the guys that really are the big go-to people in this defense for the Steelers. They come up, they have great quickness, they have great shooting ability to shoot those gaps, and that's really what's been a help.
Well, this is a pretty important possession in this football game. Rolko will start and hands it to his running mate, Ray Melnikoff. Brought down by Melvin Hobson with help from Elijah Harper. Harper, the starting safety, wears number 3. He's a senior, 5'8", 157.
40 tackles on the season for Harper. So he's got another guy that comes up out of that secondary, does a great job for the Steelers. And that's the key. They have people that come up quick. They're going to jam you with those big guys up front. Because I said they have a huge size advantage. When you look at the Lackawanna Trail line, is 5'11", 214. So on defense, that's a huge advantage for the Steelers on that defensive line.
They're proving to have the ability to move the football here. Melnikoff will be stopped after a gain of maybe 2 yards here. But their last possession, Jim, 13 plays, 36 yards, took 7 minutes off the clock. The unfortunate thing is, and they need to finish those drives, obviously, to be successful here this afternoon. They didn't convert on the field goal attempt.
Yeah, they got to get points when they have they have those kind of drives, Mike. They're doing their one accomplishment. That was keeping the Farrell offense off the field. But the other accomplishment has to be you got to get some points.
Probably the final play of this opening quarter, and it is. It is Farrell 14, Lackawanna Trail 7. We've played 1.
Slam dunk, home run, touchdown, goal! However you score, do it with PCN, bringing you sports coverage every season. Watch live and stream on demand. With coverage this good, you'll be a part of the action on cable and the PCN app.
Weight has been made. Technique has been perfected. It's time to see Pennsylvania's top high school wrestlers hit the mat on PCN's Match of the Week. Watch as we bring you prime wrestling matchups from across Pennsylvania. Go to PCNTV.com for details. PCN, Pennsylvania Sports.
Pennsylvania's top high school wrestlers take to the mat on PCN's Match of the Week this January. Watch athletes from across the state compete on cable and on the PCN app each week. Go to PCNTV.com for more details. PCN, Pennsylvania Sports Network, bundled up here on a cool afternoon in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Time of possession right now, Lackawanna Trail, we just mentioned it, 8 minutes, 58 seconds, 3:02 for Farrell, but the difference there that Lackawanna Trail needs to finish on those possessions, and they're going to get a nice play and a conversion here on third down, well-thrown football to Jordan Edwards.
Yeah, we talked about 13 receptions for 167 yards on the season. The thing of it is, this was all by Rolka. Did a nice job of looping that ball over an oncoming defensive end in Hilton. That's the kind of thing that they did a good job of. He is just a good athlete, and he made it happen right there on his own.
Edwards, one of their captains. He is a senior, as you mentioned, Jim. He gained first-team all-league selection as a defensive end, a two-way starter, among the team leaders in tackles. He's recovered a couple of fumbles. He's intercepted a pass. He's had quite a year for the District 2 champions. Rolka under duress and hung on to it just a little too long as he took quite a hit from Brian Hilton, number 12.
And Anthony Jackson, number 23, coming in there as well. So they double teamed him coming off that right side. He wasn't looking in that direction. You're going to see on the replay, he was looking to his right. He doesn't see these guys coming from the left till the last minute. Tries to get it away, but couldn't get it away. The thing of it is, he was fortunate to just get that away where he did, because it ended up being knocked to the ground by Hilton.
Jim, I'm not so sure that's not a missed assignment. They had all the blockers to the left, but the screen guy, Melnikoff, was over on the right side. I'm not so sure that someone didn't miscommunicate that. Second down and 10, and Rolka met at the line of scrimmage, twist his way forward for a gain of maybe 2. Tamir Green, number 22, the first man there defensively.
See, what's happening, Mike, on these screens is they're getting too engaged with these guys up front for Farrell, who are so big, they can't get them out of the way, and that's the problem. That makes the difference in that screen game. All the teams they played this year weren't that big up front, and you can get those guys out on those screens really quickly. They're having a problem right now with that.
Lackawanna 2 for 4 on third down conversions, faced with a 3rd down and 7. And Rolka starts from the gun. And nothing there for Melnikoff, who may have lost a yard on 3rd down. Farrell claiming that football came loose. Play had been blown dead. Kobe Hilton was one of the first men there defensively.
Well, see, you're getting that great penetration inside. Hilton doing a nice job, 43 tackles on the season. So he's doing a great job of getting himself inside position and really disrupting everything that's happening right now from the offensive standpoint.
That's going to bring out the punting unit. Zach Kost, number 81, as the punter for the Lions. But not before we get a whistle and a timeout. Charge to Farrell. Mentioned that the Steelers are making their second appearance in the last 4 years. And we'll dial it back here to 2015, and they were up against a very determined Bishop Guilfoyle team, and that guy right there, Evan Chadburn. Chadburn with a couple of TDs, showing some terrific speed there, and here's a trick play that obviously went awry as Farrell fell behind, and it was a real disappointment for those guys. As you see the interception, Guilfoyle was able to go on to a 35-0 championship victory there. A couple of the guys in that final picture there, the runner-up trophy, Alex Myers was number 1, Devin Green number 8, Marcus McCoy was one of their captains, number 14. But here for the 5th time, won back-to-back titles in the mid-90s. And Coach Samuels says, we are excited to be here and trying to atone to what happened a couple of years ago. Punt is angled out of bounds. and will be spotted at the 25-yard line. So Farrell leading in the game, 14-7, and will start from that point.
It'll be interesting to see, if they're going to go and continue to keep pounding that football in the running game. Did a great job last week. They only threw 2 passes last week. That was the deal. They didn't want to throw the ball because they didn't have to. We talked to Coach before the game against Our Lady of Sacred Heart. He said, we're going to run that football. We're going to run it down their throat, and they did. And that's the same thing they're doing here so far this afternoon.
31-point win last week against Sacred Heart. Beat Coudersport by 42. Beat Shade by 48. West Middlesex by 44. Those are their last 4 games. And I think if the Lions are going to keep this one within reach, this becomes a pretty important defensive sequence for them as well. Wright starts out of the shotgun, tucks it under that left arm, and here is the big quarterback tiptoeing along the sidelines. He stepped out of bounds. They're going to spot him at the 42-yard line, a gain of close to 15 and a first down. Was run out of bounds by Nico Barrios.
And you're going to see a great job here by Tamir Green, number 22. Now watch him come out. He takes on the linebacker from the outside and then goes into a position where he steps out of bounds, but that was a key block to get him to the outside.
Green has had a good year, 40 carries, 342 yards, but as you pointed out there, a nice job leading that play to the weak side of the field. 1st and 10, football at the 42. Right again on the keeper. Sidestepping along the line of scrimmage. Had a good job defensively of maintaining their positioning. And Josh Brown, the linebacker, coming up to make the stop.
71 tackles on the season. Good job by him shooting that gap. That's what they need to do a better job of, getting inside, stopping that before it takes place. Once you get him with a head of steam, you're in trouble. They did a job that time getting inside early.
Yeah, those 71 tackles you referenced, the team high for them. He has 7 tackles for loss, a couple of sacks. He's also blocked an extra point on the year. 2nd down, 8. Hand it this time off to Christian Lewis. And Lewis is tripped up after a gain of 3. Nice play by Colin Mulhern now in there defensively. Mulhern will play some defensive end. He'll come in at that position for Rolka when they want to try and give him a little bit of a breather.
And again, see, they're pushing. They're getting a good push inside. And then when they get that push inside, you can get people to penetrate and come upfield. And that's been a key right there. As you see, Mulhern doing a nice job right there.
21 tackles on the year, 4 for loss, couple of sacks. He's blocked a kick. Big 3rd down in this football game here. Lions trying to get off the field. They'll have to stop Lewis, and they'll not do it. Lewis busting through a defender. He's to the 20. He is clear to the end zone for a 53-yard touchdown run.
Again, got to the 2nd level. That's the key. When he gets to that 2nd level, he's awfully tough to deal with. And the thing of it is, he's done it too many times here this morning. Or this afternoon, excuse me. Take a look at this replay. Now watch, they have a couple shots again. There's 1, there's 2 guys there. There's a 3rd guy that's getting half a shot. But the thing of it is, you got to get a full shot of him, because once he gets past that line of scrimmage, his speed is going to be overcoming for everybody on the trail side.
Christian Lewis having quite a first half. 6 carries, 137 yards, and now 3 touchdowns. Extra point up and good by Hilton. I mentioned Hilton earlier, 45 extra points on the year. Here's a look at the afternoon's work for Christian Lewis.
So you're going to have a 40-yard touchdown to start the whole operation. Again, a couple of shots at him, but couldn't get it to go. You're going to have a 20-yard touchdown where he's going to bolt his way up and through. Again, 2 shots, and then very good lateral ability to get to the outside. His 2nd touchdown of 20 yards. And then you're going to see that here. Again, a shot, but then secondary level, 53 yards. And that's it, into the end zone again for his 3rd touchdown of the half.
One of the other things that has made this year so special for Farrell, and mentioned their proximity in the state. They're right on the Pennsylvania-Ohio border, but really close-knit community. Every one of the coaches on this staff are graduates of Farrell High School. Can you imagine? I mean, you have councilmen who are serving as your athletic director. There's a retired policeman who was part of the staff that we talked to prior to the game as well. And Coach Samuels has tapped into all of that reservoir of knowledge involving what it means to wear this uniform here at Farrell. Has to be pleased where he stands right now after a little bit of a slow start in this game.
Yeah, no question about it. He has to be pleased, and he's pleased to have all those old guys come in that played for Farrell, have that Farrell tradition. That's what I said. It's really nice about the 1A level. A lot of the times, it's guys that played at their school, come back to help at their school, because a lot of times people aren't interested in the low levels of the 1As. They always want to be the 6A guy. They want to be a big deal with the 6A guy. But it's not easy to coach at the 1A level when you got 25, 26 kids. So that's a really neat thing that he has all those guys involved.
Lou Falcone, former head coach in the program, is one of his assistants. Dante Newell, Anthony Pegues were players on the 95 state championship team. So they certainly have experiences to share with these young student athletes. So the Lions now find themselves 2 scores behind with just under 9 minutes to go here to intermission. Fake the sweep, set up the screen, and Melnikoff is chucked off his wheels by Tyree Hammonds, number 20, the linebacker.
What he did well, was stay home. He has 69 tackles on the season. You can see why he stays home. That's the key. The screen game, as I said, has been tough because they haven't been able to get out in front, and these guys have such closing speed that he comes up quickly and makes the stop. But Hammonds does a nice job, the junior, 5'8" and 155 with a good hit.
69 tackles on the year. He has an interception on the season. Farrell with 8 of those on the year. 19 fumble recoveries. They have 27 takeaways on the year. This defense has just been outstanding.
Now there's a great example. Another takeaway there. Going to be another fumble right there.
Right on cue. That's Jawan Samuels coming up with a loose football. Samuel's first fumble recovery, actually his team-leading 7th fumble recovery of the year for Samuels.
This defense is unbelievable. Last week they had 6 sacks. They create havoc. Now what happened there, and if you see it on the replay, Hilton came from the left side, went right around to the right side, looped right before the snap, and then got into the backfield early and caused that havoc. Now watch on this replay. He's going to come around this right side. He was on the left side to start. He looped all the way around to the right side, caused that fumble to happen, and again, another turnover. See him coming from that right side, puts his hand in there, rips the ball out, and that's causing that turnover to happen. And again, that's what this defense does to you.
24th. We'll make that the 20th fumble recovery of the season. They'll take over at the 37-yard line, 1st and 10. And Wright is looking for a big play on first down, has his receiver, that is Towson. Towson avoids a defender and has a gain of close to 14 and a first down.
The deal right now with Lackawanna Trail is they have to play perfect defensive football with their tackling technique. And that's been the problem on those touchdown runs. They have not done that.
Football inside the 25 on first down. Here is Lewis once again. And a good strong run between the tackles. Those are the ones that in this day and age, Jim, are getting lost. That's a solid 6-yard gain. Jacob Brim, 55, finally bringing him down, but looks like you bottled him up there a little bit, and he still picked up some 6 yards.
No question about it. They just do such a tremendous job of running the football, and that with that O-line, that's a big advantage.
174 rushing now for Farrell against 54 for Lackawanna Trail. Go to the speed sweep. This is Towson. Towson with blockers out in front, knocked and tripped up, diving forward. Touchdown, Farrell.
Nice job again, but you're going to see some great blocks on this. That's the key, Mike. You're going to see a great block by Lewis, number 1, and you're going to see a great block by E.J. Rollins on the corner. That's going to be the key when we take a look at the replay. Now watch. He's going to come around there. Now watch Lewis with a nice block out here. He seals that guy from the corner. Good. Gets him the outside. Now what happens is number 8, Rollins. He does a good job pushing his defensive back out of position, and then he does the rest, but his knee is down early, and that's what I think they're going to call right here.
Well, he is injured on the play. I think they've ruled it a touchdown, which our replay there shows you that knee, and I'm not sure what happened to him. He got tangled up a little bit, and he lost that knee, kind of gave out on him. You can see it right there, but there's clearly the knee is down at about the 3 to 4 yard line there.
Well, he's trying to extend it. Sometimes that happens when you try to extend out with that football, but great job of blocking. I mean, we always look at what the running back does, and especially in this game with this, with these people, they're so good at the running back position. But the thing of it is, there were some great blocks on that.
And Towson obviously needing assistance leaving the field. We certainly hope that isn't as serious as it might look. But his touchdown will stand. And the lead now at 27-7. Record-setting year for Jordan Towson as well. School records for career touchdowns, career points, season record for yards, season record for touchdowns. Extra point will be blocked, and it will remain 27-7, 7:13 to go here in the second quarter.
These days, life is busy, but amazing. From the sci-fi brilliance of technology to the existence of toast, we move at a crazy pace until this happens. Time for MedExpress. Walk right in, get the care you need, and get right back at it. MedExpress, because life is urgent.
Brandon Noble, Penn State letterman, 9-year NFL veteran.
Mike the Mailman, University Park Postman, 40 years.
Kevin Horn, former Honor State Managing Editor.
I'm Chris. I'm also on the show.
It may sound dumb.
It is.
But it's the most fun you're going to have getting ready for a college football game.
It's the obligatory PSU pregame show.
I'm not going to say that.
Running out of time to find the perfect gift? With our original programs and live coverage, PCN has something for everyone, and it lasts the whole year. See history in your backyard. Hear directly from elected officials. Cheer on local sports teams. All wrapped up in one little package. Finish your shopping with a single click. Subscribe today at pcntv.com.
Well, Farrell has upped their lead to 27-7, and they did it on a drive that started with a takeaway by this defense. Defense on a fumble recovery gave them good starting position. And 3 plays, 37 yards later, Towson into the end zone, still being attended to over there on the sidelines. But boy, turnovers, you just can't have these kind of mistakes in a state championship game.
No, it doesn't have that. Hilton caused that turnover to happen coming off the end. And then you're going to see a nice job there by Townsend, and then you're going to see a great run, but even better blocks. And that's why I love bringing that out. Without that block from E.J. Wallace, he doesn't get himself into the corner. Rollins did a great job of sealing that guy off in the corner for that last 5 yards.
Hilton turning in to be a busy first half for the kickoff man. Also a starter defense and wide receiver. That's another one of the beauties of this single A level, Jim. Especially, I mean, that's beautiful for a player. You're on the field just about the entire game. This one off the side of the foot and out of bounds at the 42-yard line. That'll bring out a flag. And I would fully expect that Lackawanna Trail would take that one where it went out of bounds.
You see head coach Steve Jervis talking things over with his quarterback. You know, these are tough times right now, down 27-7, when you know you're not a kind of a team that's built to be for comebacks. This is very, very tough times to be a coach right now, especially in the state finals.
Great ball. Our ball.
So it's going to be a first down. And actually spotting the football now at the 46-yard line. Reminder, PCN celebrates 25 years of bringing the Pennsylvania State Farm Show to you. Watch your Farm Show favorites on PCN on cable and stream on demand with PCN app anytime. PCN, Pennsylvania History and Culture. Drive starts from the 46-yard line for the Lions. And on the keeper, it is Nathan Rolka. Melvin Hobson, first man there defensively with help from Kai Wright.
This defense, as we talked about, last week they did a great job. As I said, they had 6 sacks. They held Tyler Brady, the 4th all-time leading passer in the WPIAL, to 11 for 23 for 122 yards, no TDs and 1 interception. So this defense is big-time D.
Farrell right now rushing 12 attempts, 179 yards. They are averaging a whopping 14.9 yards per carry. Rolka looking to throw. Has that wheel route once again, and this time he will connect. He finds number 20, that is Jeff Resto on the reception, and it'll be good for first down yardage, 24 yards on the pass completion.
Only his 7th reception of the season, but they know they got to go to a different spot. Good job by the quarterback of surveying the whole field. That wheel route ran perfectly. Resto came out of there. 7th reception is a big one here, as they need to get some points on the board.
Resto listed as a reserve running back. He is a junior, 5'8", 170. He's returned a couple of kick returns for a touchdown this year, 14 carries, 74 yards in their semifinal round win a week ago. So a little bit of a wrinkle to this offense as Rolka, like running into a wall, no give whatsoever. Fortunate to get back to the line of scrimmage. Tyree Hammonds, number 20, was one of the guys there in the middle.
Well, this defense has 4 shutouts on the season, as we said, averaging 6.9 points a game given up. So you see the hole early, but then you see, again, these guys are just splitting double teams, and you can see that the little bit of the Lackawanna Trail guys getting a little tired here, Mike, with the blocks right now, and that's got to, they got to be more physical. That's the only way they can stay in this ball game.
Rolka, who completed 4 of 9 passes a week ago, already 5 for 7 here this afternoon for 38 yards, and that's kind of the production that they needed out of him. Their inability to finish some drives. This one's going to be tipped up in the air and intercepted. Number 22 is Tymir Green, and another turnover for the Steelers of Farrell High. The tip by number 50, Vincent Purdy, a senior, 5'8", 265.
Well, this is what I was talking about, Mike. This is too long to develop, and you're going to see those guys get inside. See, normally you're playing against slow, smaller defensive linemen sometimes when you're playing against the teams that Trail played against. These guys are quick. They're in there early on those screens, and that's where they just blew that right up by tipping it and getting the interception.
Correct myself, it was Deshaun Sims who got a hand on that, now in there, number 58 defensively. Coach Samuels talked about Sims and the great job he has done for them this year. They suffered that injury to Ron LaCamera, who is only a junior. And keep in mind, most of this offensive line back for next year, by the way. LaCamera was injured, and Deshaun Sims came in and has done a great job. And here is right into the secondary to the 5, touchdown Steelers, 56 yards. And they are starting to break this one open here in the single A final.
The thing of it is, again, a couple of blown tackles made the deal happen. You're going to see Wright does a good job of getting himself through early. Once they get, that's been the problem with Lackawanna Trail. Their secondary hasn't been able to help them, because once these guys have gotten to that second level, they really haven't been able to stop them. Now see here, he fakes inside, and now he's going to go up through that gap. Now he makes one move to get to the outside, and then once he's in the outside, it's a foot race, and they're not going to get him.
5 carries, 89 yards. He's averaging 17.8 per carry, and now has a touchdown. Hilton on for the point after. Up it good, and Farrell now starting to distance themselves from Lackawanna Trail. 34-7 with 5 minutes to go here till intermission.
Well, we're going to take a look again at some of those things that happen on the inside. You get that big push on the inside. That's going to be the key. once you get that push from that defensive line or the offensive line, then you're going to see the replay here. I see they had a good shot at him early. Cost had him a good shot in the backfield, couldn't hold on to him, did a nice job of holding that ball as long as he could into the stomach of Lewis before he took it out of there, and a great job by Wright doing the option as well as you can do it right there.
Kai Wright's mother, Kayvon, won a state volleyball title under legendary head coach Harriet Morrison. This young man is looking to bring home a gold medal to put right next there to Mom's, and I'm sure there's nobody cheering harder than for her son than she is here this afternoon.
These guys are, both an offensive and defensive juggernaut. They really can play both sides of the ball as well. And now that the point is, you're getting that push up front. And once you get that push, and once you find that you can get some weakness up front, they've really taken advantage of it and used their speed as well.
Tamir Green's mom, Maggie, also a volleyball state champion. Gary Satterwhite III, he's the son of Kennedy basketball champion Gary Satterwhite Jr. So there's some state championship pedigree in a number of these student athletes for Farrell. Squib kick is fielded by one of the up guys. That was 55, Jacob Brim, able to cover it up. But we have more state championship coverage to come here tonight. Bob McCool, Ross Tucker will be on the call. Jim, you and I will be sidelines for 4 years in a row. Game speaks for itself. Imhotep Charter won the first meeting. Cathedral Prep has won each of the last two. That promises to be some kind of football game live tonight on PCN 7 o'clock.
Yeah, that promises to be one of the better ones of the weekend. There's no question about it. A lot of athletes for Imhotep Charter. We saw them play it last week against Bethel Catholic. They did a great job in that game. And the thing of it is, Cathedral Prep has had their number the last 2 years, so that should be a very interesting ball game here tonight.
Well, the Lions, with their backs to the wall here, go to the sweep. Getting the call there was Jeff Resto, tripped up by Wright. And now things getting a little testy, and you just hope that this kind of stuff doesn't get out of control. We've been on this stage, Jim, for so many years, and you're looking at a Lackawanna Trail team here that has earned the right to be here, and can be a little disheartening to be on the short end of 34-7 when you've had the record kind of year that they have had this season.
Well, the other thing is, Mike, and you got to look at it realistically, this is a very poor position for them to be in Lackawanna Trail. They probably haven't been close to this position all season long, obviously, with their record. And the fact is, you can't simulate in practice this kind of size and this kind of speed. And that's what happens to you. Now you get frustrated because you thought you had a game plan coming in, you thought you could do some good things, but the frustration takes place, and you just hope that the tempers, don't go too far.
There's Melnikov getting the call. Well, the other thing, too, is, if you're head coach Steve Jervis, you can't reinvent who you are here. You've fallen behind 34-7, and, we are a running football team. We got to just keep trying to do the things that we know we're capable of doing and not try to get out of your comfort zone there, obviously. There you see him offering encouragement. I tell you, a terrific athlete in his own right, and boy, was it heartwarming to talk to him before the game. He's going to watch his quarterback go down to a sack with flags out as well. Tamir Green, 22, was involved in the tackle.
I'll tell you, Green is just so sneaky getting inside, Mike. You see him, he's 5'11", 220 pounds. But, man, can he just get himself into positions? He's so fast. He gets inside, and he really goes after the quarterback. Does a nice job in the backfield of getting some sacks. We talked about him on the
run.
3 tackles for losses as well.
On the offense. That penalty's refused. 4th down.
So it'll bring up a 4th down. Coach Jervis, a 1993 graduate of Tunkhannock High School, football and baseball star there. They won a District 11 Class 4A football title his senior year. He passed for over 1,000 yards. As a pitcher, third baseman, his team reached the PIAA AAA quarterfinals. Went on to pitch and play third base at Lafayette, as I mentioned earlier. Returned to coach at Tunkhannock. Been a Scranton Times Tribune Coach of the Year, all regional here. And the program is in really good shape. We talked with him, Jim, about the youth programs. The Lackawanna Junior Lions, all 3 of their programs in what they call their Super Bowl in that region. Their B and C teams winning a title. Their D-level team finishing runner-up. I'll talk more about that in just a moment, but Steve Degler with more on Christian Lewis.
Well, Mike, we'll talk about Coach Samuels and the tough year he has had for Farrell. His mother passed away from cancer during the off-season. She was very supportive of the program. She ran the concession stand at home games and was always in the stands during away and playoff games. The seniors chose to have a pink out during their senior night. They sold T-shirts as a fundraiser, and then during the pregame, after their senior introductions, they flanked Coach Samuels and announced that they had raised money for cancer research in his mother's honor and were dedicating the game in her memory. And then during this current playoff run, the Farrell football family suffered another loss. Farrell legend and former NFL player Judson Jet Flint passed away. Judson never forgot where he came from and would often be found at practices and games, and he also brought NFL Play 60 camps to Farrell to instruct the youth and raise money for the football program. In his honor, the team added a Jet decal on the fronts of their helmets. Mike?
Yeah, pretty good stuff happening there in Farrell, and pass completion here to Tyree Hammonds. Jim, it's always neat to hear that stuff about these guys coming back and helping the current guys right now at the high school.
No question about it. And you're going to see the fact there, that interception coming up there, Mike, just a sad choice there by Rolka that time. He just threw right into the single coverage right there. Number 20 takes a nice step right inside. Tyree Hammonds did a good job of getting that interception. But you're right. It's always good to hear those stories about guys giving back. And that's great news for the Farrell community. Besides the fact of the GPAs, they're doing a lot of other things as well. So just some great stories coming out of Farrell in their 100th year of football.
Hammond's second interception and another turnover, and the previous ones have been turned into touchdowns.
Have an encroachment foul on the defense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
We'll make it 1st and 5. Football out to the 46-yard line. Farrell now 13 carries, 235 yards, averaging just a little over 18 yards per carry. And no surprise as they will keep it on the ground. And here is Christian Lewis. Lewis high-stepping his way to the tune of about 16 yards and another first down. Jordan Edwards there to make the tackle.
Well, you figured, we want to talk about the offensive line of the Steelers. Between Lewis at 2,219 yards and Wright at 1,635 yards, those two guys alone, that offensive line has provided such opportunities for them to roll up those numbers this year.
There's Wright on the keeper. He's to the 30. And finally brought down, actually going to mark him out of bounds, it looks like at the 19-yard line. And that's where they will spot it. 23 yards officially on the run by Kai Wright.
As I said, when he gets ahead of steam, Mike, he's awfully tough to bring down. And you're going to see him right here as he fakes that ball inside this time to Lewis, and then he's going to jet to the outside. Gets a couple of good blocks. Hilton with a good block again. And before that, you didn't see it in that play, but E.J. Rollins did a nice job of fending his defensive back to the inside to create a lane up the sideline.
6'3", 240. He'll join the basketball program at the conclusion of the year. They described him as a point forward. What a gifted young man. That's some size for a high school football player to be playing quarterback. I mean, you got 240, but those guys are usually linemen. Lewis unable to get to the edge this time. Still successful play on first down. And a gain of about 5.
Interesting, we were talking to the Farrell coaches before the game, and the athletic director talking about the basketball tradition as well. They did a great job. Eddie McCluskey did a great job there over the years. An outstanding coach, 7 state titles. They got a lot of athletic tradition at Farrell High School.
Wright trying to get things set offensively. He might have to burn a timeout here. Now has a little bunch set to the right of the formation. And he's going to keep it and run that way, looking for some blockers. Pulls away from 1, 2 defenders. He's inside the 5, where it'll be 1st and goal for the Steelers of Farrell High.
Does a great job of picking and choosing his spots here. You see him right here. He's got to tuck that ball under. It was the direct snap. They went to that bunch formation to get good blocking out front. Lewis did a nice job again. Rollins did a nice job again. Those guys are giving them some good blocks. And those are the things a lot of times, as you're going to see offsides here, but those are the things a lot of times guys don't get credit for, Mike. You see the guys running and scoring touchdowns, but it's that all-encompassing group that needs to be working in unison to make those touchdowns happen.
Penalty will go against the Steelers. Coach Jervis also shared with us how he spent a lot of times at the George Curry camps. He worked there for a good number of years and a great respect. Actually, as a quarterback at Tunkhannock, he said he competed against the state's winningest football coach in George Curry. Lewis on the carry, this time chopped down after little or no gain. Rolka, the outside linebacker, credited with a tackle. Great defensive numbers as well. 31 on the year, a couple of tackles for losses, 2 sacks. He's intercepted a couple of passes. And oh, by the way, he's got a 90-mile-per-hour fastball. That'll get you somewhere.
That will get you somewhere.
It's getting him to Delaware.
It is getting him to Delaware, right. That's a good thing for him, and I'm awfully glad for him. They did have a trips formation here to left, and now they're going to bring it into a bunch.
Wright takes the direct snap, cuts it back. Play was designed to go left. Hole actually developed to the right side. He's back to the 3-yard line. As we are under a minute to go here till halftime. Stay with us at the intermission. We'll hear from Bob McCool, Ross Tucker. And a timeout. This one charged to the Steelers of Farrell. Well, I promised you earlier, Steve Degler, you have more in that family get-together with these officials. What's going on there, Steve?
Well, Mike, a lot of family connections this week with fathers and sons, and there are a lot of family connections with his Farrell team as well. But how about the 7-man officiating crew out of District 12 in Philadelphia? You talk about a family affair. Referee Bill McKeever Sr., side judge Bill McKeever Jr. are father and son. Back judge Joseph Kelly Sr., field judge Joseph Kelly Jr. are father and son. Now, Joe Sr. is married to Bill Sr.'s sister, Nancy, making both of the juniors cousins. And then throw in umpire Dan McKeever. He is a cousin of Bill Sr. and Nancy. This is a Philly crew born and bred. They work the Catholic League, they work the Public League, and they are very, very appreciative of getting the call, coming here to Hershey, and you get to share it with some family members too. A really cool deal for these guys.
Did they send out invitations for this family reunion here
They
today?
should have.
They could have picked a warmer day, I know that.
We're invited to a spread after the game, I think.
Awesome, I can't wait. Thanks you very much, Steve. Here we go, direct snap to right, trying to use that 6'3" frame, and he's able to break the plane of the goal line. Touchdown Steelers, they've broken it open.
Now you're just going to see brute strength. Wright did a good job of bouncing to the outside that time. Thought about the inside, but then bounced it to the outside. Showed his speed as he got to that corner for the touchdown.
Well, and I know, Jim, that we talked about Kobe Hilton and being the senior that started on that 2015 team that was disappointed here in their last trip. But they're going to line up, I believe, here to go for 2. And, of course, the significance of that with 38 seconds to go here to intermission, that could make it a 35-point lead, and it would kick in the mercy rule as we start the third quarter. Another look at the touchdown.
Yeah, take a look, see how he's going to go inside, but then he bounced it to the outside. A little stiff arm there on number 17, Rolka on the outside. The other quarterback, so quarterback on quarterback, little stiff arm on there. And you see the 100-year sticker on the back of the helmet. Great job by the Steelers in their 100th year of football, rolling up this lead here in the first half.
I'll tell you, their timing could not have been better to turn in a year like this. 581 wins in the program, 327 losses, 44 ties. Boy, what a way to celebrate one of the tradition-rich football programs in the state of Pennsylvania.
This is going to be an
back in
interesting
1918.
Formation here, Mike. They're going to put Wright on the outside as a wideout. Looks like Lewis is going to be in the quarterback position here.
We're a part of the WPIAL until 2007. Now a member of District 10. And they will line up and go for 2. Direct snap. And it is Lewis to the 1, twisting, fighting. Christian Lewis is into the end zone for the 2-point conversion. And mentioned they had gone for a lot of 2-point conversions as a flag comes out, and it is well after the whistle had blown. Lewis had 3 2-point conversions, Jordan Townsend 5. So they have gone for a lot of 2-point tries. And You know, there are some who are out there watching, Jim, and will question that. But you know what? The mercy rule is part of the high school game. And whenever you can get a game and finish it off. I mean,
After the play, got a personal foul on the kicking team. That will be enforced on the kickoff.
And you can see that Coach Samuels does not agree with that call. 7 plays, 59 yards, 2 minutes and 16 seconds. Wright with a 3-yard TD run, his second touchdown of the day. They've spread the offense around between the quarterback and Lewis in the backfield. They've done a nice job. Townsend got himself a touchdown as well. As you're going to take a look at the penalty here as we look at right now on the replay. And you're going to see a little bit of extracurricular activity there between Zach Cost and number 57, Kobe Hilton.
You know my line for that, Jim.
Boys will be boys. I knew it was coming out, Mike.
Couple of state titles for Farrell High in their 100-year history. 1995, they were a member of the Whippeal then. 1996 as well, followed it up. They were also Big 7 conference champs in each of those 2 years. Whippeal Class A titles, and went on to state championships. And mentioned a couple of the coaches who are currently on this staff that were part of that. Went into, as we talked about District 10, and we talked to coaches about that, and the simple reason is it really cut down on their travel and the cost of trying to play a 10-game regular season, and it really has worked out for the best for the program in terms of trying to save a few dollars throughout the course of the year.
Especially on the travel budget, Mike. We talked about where their location is. You know, the end of their town is just about into Ohio. So their travel budget would have been astronomical and was astronomical when they were in the Whippeal. So that and a couple other reasons got them to the position of being in District 10.
Yeah, what they say, they're very close to Youngstown of Ohio. Let's settle down. Nations are obviously running a little high. They're separated, and that's exactly what they'll do. Good thing 27 seconds away here from intermission.
Now
a flag out
here.
And you can't come off the bench. You can't come off the bench like that. You have to have more composure than that. I'm sure that'll be addressed at halftime by Coach Samuels.
Especially when you're up 42-7. Makes no sense whatsoever.
Well, and this is a program that is used. I mean, these are the kind of games that they have played this year. I mentioned their closest game all year was against Wilmington, who we'll see tomorrow, was a 12-point final.
You can't have that, and I'm sure Coach Samuels is trying
He's
to
going to get them
everybody
together. He's going to settle everybody down right now.
He's doing that right now, which is a class thing, a good thing to do, smart thing. You know, they were on the other end of this a couple years ago.
Absolutely.
So he knows how it feels to be on that other end as well.
Yeah, there's no way you leave that bench at any point. He's got his work cut out for him right now. He's a proud graduate of this program, and he's giving him an earful.
I told him, we'll control the play as it's going on. I said,
both coaches being addressed about the situation that happened there, so that both coaches can talk to their teams about what needs to happen in the rest of this ballgame.
Now we'll hear exactly what the call is. Again, referee William McKeever Sr.
After the play, there's an unsportsmanlike foul charged to the Farrell bench. That's a 15-yard penalty. 1st and 10, Lackawanna.
Yeah, you just can't leave the bench. I mean, that's pure it. Here's exactly what transpired at the end, and it was just So I'll tell you what I saw here, though. Look at the players from Farrell coming in there. They weren't coming in there to mix, and that's where it got misinterpreted a little bit. But then the Farrell players coming off the bench, and you can see the coaches as well. You can't do that.
Yeah, the one coach, that coach right there was one that really pushed the issue, and you know that's the thing that Coach Samuels has to address him as well as he did his team to keep the cooler heads to prevail here.
Rolka on first down. His pass falls incomplete. Again, they are battling here to try and keep this game out of a mercy rule as we would start our third quarter. And the incomplete pass stops the clock with 24 seconds remaining till that point. Lewis now 10 carries, 160 yards, 3 touchdowns. Wright 9 carries, 129 yards, a couple more scores. Total yards 464 to 99. Farrell averaging 21 yards per play, while the Lions are averaging 3.3. And that play, little or no gain. Getting the call was number 11, Jordan Edwards. Edwards, 13 carries on the year, 65 yards and a couple of touchdowns. And they're going to let this one wind down. And when we start the third quarter, it will start in the mercy rule by the PIAA and Pennsylvania rules. 42-7, Farrell leading here at half. Bob McCool, Ross Tucker will take us through halftime. We're going to keep it right here and hear from Farrell head coach Jarrett Samuels, and let's go to Steve Degler for that interview right now.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. Coach, obviously a very slow start. Didn't seem to bother your team one bit.
Well, it bothered me. We came out, but that's a good team over there. They're scrappy, they're disciplined, they're coached up. But they hit us first, and we told our guys all the time, when you get hit like that, don't flinch, stay the course. Our guys adjusted, we got on track, and played Farrell football.
Your offense gets a lot of attention, and rightfully so. How good is your defense?
Defense is very good. First series wasn't very good, but we're very good. Our guys play the scheme very well. We're playing hard right now. We're playing a lot of passion and fire right now.
A lot of emotions. You had a big huddle there with your team. What was your message to them at the end of the half?
Just stay the course, be disciplined, no foolishness.
All right, Coach, thanks. Good luck second half.
Thank you very much.
Mike, Jim, back to you.
Steve, thank you very much. Bob McCool, Ross Tucker, our halftime show when we return.
Nike reminds you that no matter what you've accomplished, your biggest competition is yourself. Your work is never finished. Nike is proud to support the PIAA Football Championships.
Relive the action with PCN. Did you know you can rewatch this and other PIAA championships with the PCN app? Download the app to start streaming today. You can also purchase digital downloads, Blu-rays, and DVDs of PIAA sports championships on the PCN store.
Politics and policy, history and culture, sports. PCN is your place for Pennsylvania, on cable and on the PCN app.
After a great victory over Union forces in June 1863, Robert E. Lee marches his army to Pennsylvania. The advancing Confederates clash with General Meade's Union Army at Gettysburg, beginning the most famous battle of the Civil War. Explore our nation's past and the Gettysburg battlefield with the Gettysburg Collection. Become a member to stream the library online. Learn more at gettysburgcollection.com.
Hello, Weather World. John Neese speaking.
Hi, John. Larry Casper at PCN. I'm wondering if you can help me get ready for the farm show. So, what's the forecast?
Well, Larry, we'll crunch some numbers and we will let you know on tonight's show.
Perfect.
For all of you looking forward to the upcoming farm show, be prepared for a chance of scattered interviews with agricultural royalty, record-breaking farm show coverage all week on PCN, and the radar is showing a showering of live event streams on the PCN app. So download the PCN app to make sure you're covered all week.
The Pennsylvania Farm Show, January 5th through the 12th on PCN.
Do you have a Pennsylvania factory in mind that would make a good PCN tour? Email your ideas to info@pcntv.com or contact us on social media.
Welcome back, Hershey Park Stadium. It is the football Class A championship game, and the first half belongs to the Farrell Steelers. They lead Lackawanna Trail by a score of 42-7. Alongside Ross Tucker, my name is Bob McCool, bringing you the halftime. And Ross, going into this, obviously Farrell was a heavy favorite. Lackawanna Trail got the early hit, but the Steelers ultimately showing a little bit too much talent.
Yeah, how about it, though? At the start of the game, Lackawanna Trail, they get the fumble on the kickoff, and they go in right away, Ray Melnikoff, and I thought, okay, here we go. But then after that, the game probably went a little bit more like we thought it would. Farrell just has too many athletes, too many weapons. I mean, to be a single-A school like that and have 3 different Division I skill kids, it's just unbelievable.
And so the Lackawanna Trail Lions have got here, working their way through the bracket just like Farrell has. And you work your way through the bracket this way. For Lackawanna Trail, first up it's against Tri-Valley out of District 11. Then it's District 3's Halifax, and eventually District 6 champion Juniata Valley laying in the wake of the Lions to get to the championship. For Farrell, coming out of District 10, they had to work their way first through Shade and then Coudersport, and then take on the WPIL champion, Our Lady of Sacred Heart. And they won that game like they've won almost all their games all throughout this season relatively easily for the Steelers. Lackawanna Trail coming out of the Lackawanna League, quite obviously, Division 4, as we take a look at their schedule and working their way through it. And there's some very familiar names if you follow high school football and you follow the state championships. Teams like Old Forge and Dunmore along the way for Lackawanna Trail. Those are the teams that they're playing in District 2. Good, hard-nosed football is what they play in District 2, and that's what Lackawanna Trail does in order to get to a state championship. And when you have players like a Ray Melnikoff, a hard-nosed kind of fullback of a football player, he's the kind of player that certainly Lackawanna Trail is comfortable with. As we take a look at the teams in the league that make up Division 4 of the Lackawanna League. And again, those are the teams we're talking about. Old Forge is certainly a team that has to be reckoned with, and that's the team that gave Lackawanna Trail their lone loss in what is right now a 14-1 season. But again, getting back to Ray Melnikoff, he's the kind of player that a football coach loves. He's just that kind of gritty, go-to kind of football player.
Yeah, he's only a sophomore, 205 pounds. He got him started with the touchdown early. You know, he did a nice job, too, on the screen pass after it was tipped. Runs hard, north and south, kind of what you would expect from his body type. Then great job by both guards. That's the old 8-trap. The front side guard kicks out, the backside guard seals, and Melnikoff did a nice job. Just continues to keep the legs pumping. You know, when you're 205 pounds at 10th grade, you can tell he's put the work in the weight room to do what he's been able to do in the first half. Not easy to get any yards against Farrell, and he's been able to do it.
And that's what they've done so far in half number 1. We'll take a timeout. We'll take it with more of our halftime show. The single-A championship game, the first half, the Farrell Steelers on top of Lackawanna Trail, 42-7.
Brought to you by Penn State Sports Medicine of Penn State Health, Milton S. Hershey Medical Center, official healthcare provider of Penn State Athletics. From the youngest athletes to professional superstars, Penn State Sports Medicine covers them all.
For 35 years, the Emmy Award-winning Weather World has provided in-depth statewide forecasts that you won't find anywhere else. Weather World gives you more than just tomorrow's weather. They offer long-range forecasts and unique content that answers the why, as well as the what, when, and how weather will affect your life. Weather World, from the Penn State Department of Meteorology and Atmospheric Science. Weekdays at 5:45 p.m. and available anytime, anywhere on the PCN app.
PCN has been bringing the people of Pennsylvania the best public affairs programming for 40 years. During that time, PCN has seen many changes, but it has also seen two constants. Deborah Shepard, Senior Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, and Larry Casper, Senior Producer and Host. From the early years to now, they have been committed to PCN, and we thank them for their 25 years of service. PCN and its people, dedicated to Pennsylvania.
An important message to PCN viewers. If you switch to Dish Network or DirecTV, you will no longer be able to receive PCN. While Pennsylvania cable television companies give PCN universal support, the Dish Network and DirecTV do not carry PCN and have no plans to carry PCN. So if you want to continue to enjoy PCN programming, stay with your local cable company.
Stream more programs like this live and on demand with the PCN app in HD on your favorite device. Go to PCNTV.com to start streaming today.
Back at halftime, Farrell on top of Lackawanna Trail in the Single A Football State Championship game by a score of 42-7. Farrell Steelers have been going at it against a competition throughout the season, just like everybody else, to get to this state championship game. But for the Steelers, it has not been a whole lot of competition. The Steelers have just laid a lot of teams in their wake along the way.
Not real surprising when you have guys like Kai Wright and Christian Lewis and Jordan Townsend. You're going to beat most single-A teams you play.
And you see the results of a lot of those games along the way. The only team that really gave the Steelers a solid competition was Wilmington. Wilmington, by the way, will be in the Double-A state championship tomorrow afternoon against Southern Columbia. But when you look at the scores, you can see that a lot of teams have fallen by the way of the mercy rule to Farrell. They're just a team that is loaded and can put a lot of points on the board in a hurry. As we take a look at the standings for Farrell as well, they play out of District 10, and they are in Region 1 of District 10. West Middlesex, who was in a state championship here in 2006 at the Class A level, Reynolds and Mercer, the other teams that make up the division that is the Steelers right now, and it's a division that they own. And as Ross made mention of some of the outstanding players that the Steelers have. But in the first half, and when this thing got started in the Steelers' way, it was Christian Lewis who was the difference maker.
Right, and so much talk about Kai Wright and Jordan Townsend, but Christian Lewis on the ground showing tremendous vision. Some of the cuts and spin moves, you can see why he's going to Albany on a full scholarship. He's just smooth. Everything he does. And one thing I noticed as well, Bob, look at the great downfield blocks he got. All first half, the offensive line did a good job, but downfield blocks, you keep seeing them over and over again. A terrific job by the Farrell Steelers of sustaining those downfield blocks, and Lewis obviously knows what to do with it once he gets in open space.
And I can't help but think when you watch Farrell play and the skill level at the single A level, it brings you back to Clareton and the great Clareton teams that have come through here with unbelievable talent.
It reminds me of some of the Clareton teams, some of the Jeanette teams. In fact, I think this is one of the only years I've been here that it hasn't been Clareton or Jeanette from single A. It feels like Farrell's the other team that comes out of the West for single A. Some unbelievable talent we've seen. You think of all the Tyler Boyds and Lamont Wades, and for Farrell to have three the same year is pretty special, and that's why it looks like they're going to be state champions.
That's the case right now. It's just a little bit too much, and so the mercy rule will be in effect when the third quarter gets underway as Farrell and Jared Samuels. I think it was really a great point by him when he's talking to Steve Degler. It's about right now for Farrell. They were in the other side of the shoes a couple years ago against Bishop Guilfoyle, about winning with class right now.
Yeah, and that's what the second half will be about. And you'd like to think that everybody knows what the deal is here, right? Everybody knows that Farrell is a significantly more talented team. go out, play hard, finish the game. Both teams have so much to be proud of. I mean, are you kidding me? Lackawanna Trail, some of the teams that they beat, a team like Dunmore, to go through and be the representative from District 2 up there. I love the way they play football in District 2. I love the small schools up there. You mentioned it earlier, Dunmore, Old Forest. I mean, to me, I'm an old school guy, but to me, that's football, the way they play up there in District 2.
And think about the fact that they're here in a state championship game with 27 players on their roster. I've seen coaches come through here, teams come through here, want more assistant coaches than the 27 guys they've got on their roster.
Some of the teams tonight and tomorrow night might have 27 seniors on the roster. And so it's a tremendous accomplishment, even if it ends up that they're not able to come back in the second half, which seems unlikely. They deserve a tremendous amount of credit for getting here in the way that they did it.
42-7, Farrell leads Lackawanna Trail. Mike Zambelli, Jim Wills will take you home in the Single A Championship when we return live on PCN.
It's interactive ice cream fun at the Turkey Hill Experience, located in Columbia, PA, just south of Hershey. Create your own virtual ice cream flavor and packaging, milk our mechanical cows, and star in your own Turkey Hill commercial. Visit turkeyhillexperience.com for more information.
Larry Casper, it's me, Dan Bixler. I haven't seen you since yesterday. Are you excited for the big day? Man, Groundhog Day on PCN is so much fun. You can watch the celebration live starting at 6 a.m. and relive the fun along with interviews from the Groundhog Club's Inner Circle anytime you want, or as scheduled on PCN. Say, what are you doing today? I think we should go and grab some lunch.
You know, Dan, I would love to stand here and talk to you, but Phil's waiting.
Man, Larry is awesome.
Why did that seem so familiar?
Groundhog Day, February 2nd, live on PCN and stream on the PCN app.
Oh no.
PCN's gavel-to-gavel coverage of Commonwealth, Superior, and Supreme Courts every Sunday evening. PA Courts at 10 p.m.
PCN offers Pennsylvania organizations, business, and associations the opportunity to have their message telecast statewide. Fusion on PCN is a platform for you to reach out to all of Pennsylvania using our statewide cable network and online streaming. You produce the content with your message and PCN delivers it statewide. Fusion is a partnership that helps expand your reach and meet objectives through an alliance with PCN. Go to pcntv.com/fusion for more information.
Well, after a quick start by Lackawanna Trail, it has been all Farrell as they have just been bigger, stronger, and faster and lead at this point in the football game 42-7. Welcome back here at Hershey Park Stadium. And Jim, it was a good start by the Lions, but unable to sustain that. Let's give the credit to Farrell. Really good football team here, and they played like it in the first half.
No question about it, Mike. They're the more talented football team. They have talent at every position. Their defense has played out lights out in that first half, and they did a great job of getting the turnovers, taking advantage of the turnovers, and getting points out of it.
We've seen a lot of championship games in our coverage of this football or championship teams, and the ability to run the football speaks for itself, and that's what this Farrell team can do. And of course, the miscue early gave the Lions a quick start to this football game.
Yeah, it did. And Milnikoff did a nice job of getting himself a good position inside to run for that touchdown. That was a 10-yard run. At that point, made it 7-0. So that was a big advantage. But then Lewis comes back with a really big play right here, a 40-yard touchdown run right here to make it 7-7. Then you're going to see the second one of his triumph that they came in here in this first half. 20-yard TD run at that point makes it 14-7. Lewis just had a great first half. And then you're going to see another good run here by Townsend. He did a nice job of getting himself upfield and extending himself into the end zone for his touchdown run of 18 yards. And you're going to see the big guy, the quarterback. He's done a nice job here as well. 56-yard run for him on this touchdown run that made it 34-7. And then you're going to see another run by him, this time a 3-yard run, gets to the outside, and you're going to have a 2-point conversion as well. Good job by them in the first half.
Well, look at the stats, and pretty heavily loaded on that right side. They've thrown only 3 passes, completed both of them, to throw in another 86 yards to that dominating rushing attack. 20 carries, 294 yards. And then on the defensive end, you limit the Lions to 22 for 63. So 380 to 101, the average yards per play, and first downs 14 to 9. It adds up to a 42-7 Farrell lead at half. Moments ago, our own Steve Degler caught up with Lackawanna head coach Steve Jervis.
All right, guys, thanks very much, Coach. Obviously, you're in a tough spot. What was your message to the team at halftime?
Yeah, get back to again. I thought we started the game with some pretty good intensity. We turned the ball over. You can't do that. Obviously, they're a very talented squad. A lot of athletes over there, and so a lot of times we had some guys bottled up. We just didn't tackle them. We need to get some stops on defense. And I give them credit. They're playing a physical style. And take it to us a little bit. We just gotta get back to doing what we can do, and see if we show a little heart here, and a little pride in the second half.
And with that said, what else do you want to see from your team in the second half to try to close in strong fashion?
Yeah, again, get back to do what we do. It's nothing special. We got to block better, got to tackle better, and I'm proud of our kids either way. But I just want to see us finish the way we, the way we were in the middle of the season, the way we were the last 4 or 5 weeks. I want to see us finish that way.
Thanks, Coach. Have a good second half. Thank you, guys. Back to you.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. Jim, I think Coach Jervis makes a good point there, and you documented it as well. There were some opportunities to chop down running backs for little or no gain, and they just did not tackle the way they're capable of in that first half.
Yeah, their inability to tackle in that first half, Mike, really killed them and really put them in the position that they're in right now. And they're going to have to do a better job of that here in the second half. And, the thing of it is, he's right. They did a better job in the middle of the season and in this playoff run of tackling than they did in that first half. And that's what happens, though, when you come to Hershey. You got to have that complete game going right from the start.
That's Jordan Edwards on a nice return. He'll get it out across the 15-yard line. So in the mercy rule, it'll keep the clock running. Timeout, some dead balls, it'll stop it for the majority of it here. And it's really next to impossible to overcome a 35-point deficit. But Farrell will start here, 1st and 10, just outside their own 15-yard line. Individual numbers for them. Melnikoff carried 9 times for 38 yards. He had that rushing touchdown. He is upended here, and part of that tackle was big number 57, Kobe Hilton.
We talked about Hilton a lot in that first half. 43 tackles coming in, but he had a dominant first half as well. And that whole line, that's the thing you got to give a lot of statistics to, Mike. Linemen never get statistics unless it's pancake blocks or it's tackles for loss. But these guys, their defensive line, their offensive line have played a tremendous first half.
Well, and again, we talked about it. Now, Deshaun Sims, we talked about his story. He's a senior starting on the O-line for Ronald LaCamera, who's a junior. So LaCamera is back next year. Satterwhite is back next year. Hobson Jr. is back. So that whole line will be back intact next year. Of course, they lose a good one in Kobe Hilton, who'll graduate having started every game in his career. And that's just unheard of in high school football, to have a lineman. Sometimes you get a special teams guy, but a lineman to start every game in his high school career from his 9th grade year, almost unheard of.
Yeah, that's a great statistic, and it's a great tribute to him to keep his body in shape, to do a good job in the weight room, to keep himself injury-free all the way through.
3rd down and 10 coming up. Some more individual numbers. Rolka, 9 carries, 26 yards. Longest run of 14. He was 5 of 10 throwing the ball. Suffered the 2 interceptions for a total of 38 yards. Hands it here on the inside reverse. Play that we have seen be so successful in this Delaware wing tee. But Coach Samuels talked about it. He said, we feel we are very prepared to handle the intricacies of that Delaware wing tee and all that movement by them linemen, and he has proven to be right here in this football game.
Yeah, no question about it. He talked about they saw Wilmington in the wing tee, a team we're going to see tomorrow against Southern Columbia earlier in the season, but that was game 2, so that's a long time ago. But he was right. They have it down pat, and they did a nice job of keeping on their keys and really watching where they need to be.
Cost in punt formation, standing just on the edge of the end zone. And a good snap from center. Nice twisting kick fielded at the 45-yard line, and Christian Lewis checked the rearview mirror and trying to get to that wall on the left side. and did a pretty good job to get it into Lions territory to the 40-yard line.
We get dummy ball.
A gain of 38 yards on the return. Earlier today, we talked to head coach Jared Samuels on their return and looking for a little redemption.
Our city's hungry for it. Our players are hungry for it. Last time we was here, we were mercy ruled. That's something that'll stick with us for the last 3 years. Now that we're back, we want to come out and do our best performances today and go out on top as champions.
Well, Jim, it's a great reward, obviously, to be playing in this football game, but we have seen it, the devastation, and, we've also seen that other end of it, those teams that come back with that chip on their shoulder, having lost in this game. There's something that you remember. It's a great motivator, and we're seeing Farrell rise to the occasion today.
Great job of motivating with that situation, Mike. You're right. That chip on your shoulder comes back. The thing with Coach Samuels, he's exercising a lot of demons here. He beat his first Whippeal team to get himself into this position. He was a guy that played in the Whippeal for all those years with Farrell, and then he went to District 10. And now the thing of it is, they don't get to beat those Whippeal teams many times. But last week he beat the Whippeal team when he beat Sacred Heart last week. So he's getting that, and he's also getting redemption from that game a couple of years ago when they got mercy ruled in the state finals.
Graduate of the school, class of 1990. Watching his offense go back to work. Lewis rushed for 160 yards in the first half. Wright for 129. The two now running the little option. And it'll be Lewis on the pitch, and actually a pretty nice job defending it. But again, there you go. There's another 12-yard gain. You did a pretty decent job. Had guys in position, and they still pick up a first down.
First time we saw the option pitch all afternoon, and they did a good job of it. Wait until exactly that last second to pitch that ball back to Lewis. And again, a good block on the outside. I'm impressed with the way their receivers block on the outside. Hilton did a nice job blocking downfield, gave him another extra 7 yards.
Wright's thrown the ball 3 times, completed all 3 for another 84. They've been content to do just this. Dancing with the stars here as Lewis spinning and diving towards the end zone, and this time he'll be marked just a couple of yards shy. It'll be first and goal for the Steelers.
Well, you take a look at one of his best attributes is his ability to move his feet, and you're going to see it right here. Watch the spin move. Does a nice job of setting that foot inside and then spinning right around. Has a nose for the goal line, knows where he wants to put that football.
First and goal for the Steelers. And this time Lewis is tripped up behind the line of scrimmage. And then there was number 77, Mark Dunkel. All-league performer, both as a defensive and offensive tackle. 31 stops on the year, 5 tackles for loss, half dozen sacks. Dunkel, a junior, 5'10", will be back next year. 3 fumble recoveries on the year as well. 27 in uniform, as we have talked, for Lackawanna Trail. 12 seniors, 10 juniors, and 5 sophomores.
And this is a great experience that we always talk about every year, Mike. When you can play those 14, 15 games, it's like playing another half a season, and you get a lot of experience for those underclassmen, especially those juniors that they have in the sophomores. So that'll be 15 guys who get a lot of experience coming into next year.
Towson, the
full
motion
start,
man.
offense, 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Will cost the Steelers 5 yards.
It'll be second and goal from the 7.
Kobe Hilton, their leading tackler in that first half, had 7 stops. Zach Cost with 5 to lead the way for the Lions. So first and goal here, now from the 7. Toss it to Lewis. Great job setting up his blockers and steps into the end zone for another touchdown for Farrell.
Well, we talked about his ability to move his feet, and you saw a perfect example, a textbook example right there of being able to move your feet and get yourself positioned to get upfield to get the touchdown. Watch it right here. Now you're going to see him right here, and right there you're going to see, boom, he puts that inside foot, plants the inside foot, goes to the outside. His lateral ability is really, really good, Mike.
Change of direction is very impressive, to say the least. Averaging 48.8 points a game. And a missed extra point will keep them right at 48. 48-7 Farrell will step aside in this, the single A state championship game.
Packed with 9 essential nutrients, low-fat chocolate milk can be an important part of your recovery routine. Refuel with chocolate milk after your next workout.
Tired of unbalanced views and networks pushing their own angles? PCN brings it to you straight. We don't edit what was said to fit a point of view. We bring you the entire event. No slant, no editing, the whole story. A complete view without the angle. Watch PCN on cable and on the PCN app. Stream politics and policy on your favorite device for free.
For 25 years, PCN has brought viewers from across the Commonwealth inside the nation's largest indoor agricultural showcase, the Pennsylvania Farm Show. Every year, our coverage continues to grow. PCN's 25th anniversary celebration kicks off January 5th through the 12th on cable and the PCN app. PCN, bringing the Pennsylvania Farm Show to you.
Tune to PCN February 2nd to see if Puxatawny Phil sees his shadow during Groundhog's Day right here on PCN. I'm hoping he doesn't, if that matters.
It's going to be a tough winter, I think, Mike, whatever happens.
I'm afraid you're right. 5:26 to go. Farrell firmly in control here in the single A championship game. Lewis now 15 carries, 205 yards, averaging 13.7. He has rushed for 4 touchdowns. Twisting kick, rolls out of bounds. Lions will have the option to take it from the 35-yard line, and it looks like that is what Coach Jervis and Lackawanna Trail will decide. You know,
Free kick out of bounds, untouched by the kicking team. The receivers will ball 1st and 10, 9.
You know, Jim, earlier I was talking about the good shape that the Lackawanna Junior Lions, all 3 of their programs in what they call the Super Bowl, the B and C teams winning a title, the D-level finishing runner-up. But Coach Jervis's sons, both really good athletes. Steve Jervis Jr. is the quarterback on the B team, and Tyler is the quarterback on the C teams. And he had talked and shared with us prior that the youth organizations are really doing a good job there up at Lackawanna. That snap gets away, and you know that can only bode well for this program and what lies ahead. You know, he talked about running the wing tee and how he learned some of the intricacies of it over the years. He mentioned Jim Morgan's former Allentown Central Catholic head coach and the Buck Series sweep and how that really resonated with him. He's really committed to this offense, and we have seen teams, and mentioned Morgan's and Central Catholic, win running this wing tee. We're going to see Wilmington here tomorrow afternoon. He knows how successful this offense can be.
Yeah, he's sold on it, and they've done a good job with it all year. It just didn't happen to be their time today. But the thing of it is, doesn't mean that everything they did all year. And that's the toughest part of coaching this game right now, is that everything that you did all year is forgotten for this next, 20 minutes. And that's the thing that's tough, that you got to keep your head, you got to coach your kids. But his system works. His system did a great thing all year. They played, Old Forge twice, as he talked to us about before the game. That first game was tough. They surely should have beat him. Second game, they did beat him, and that's the thing that's a difference.
Well, busy day tomorrow as well. Jim and I will be back here. Southern Columbia and Wilmington, Act 2. Undefeated Tigers against the once-beaten Wilmington team. Only lost to this Farrell team we're looking at. And then Manheim Central and Penn Hills tomorrow night. Another exciting, action-packed day of football here on PCN. Flare pass is complete to Edwards, but fortunate now pick up a yard, maybe two. Fortunate to get back to the line of scrimmage. Again, it was well defended.
And we talked many times about how this defense is, the offense gets a lot of accolades, but the defense, with a lot of guys going both ways, especially in the 1A level, Kai Wright especially, one of those guys we just saw there, but the defense has just been so good. I mean, last week was such a big win for them, beating Tyler Bradley and Our Lady of Sacred Heart. Those guys, that was a very, very good team on a really big run, and they just shut them out with 6 sacks and really held the passing game in check. So that's the thing that they've done a great job with all year.
Cost in punt formation. Punt fielded back at the 30-yard line. This is number 15, Marion Odom. He's a sophomore at 6'1". Let's get down Steve Degler with more on the 100-year celebration of Farrell football.
Mike, 1918, the team went 2-1 to get things underway for the program. There was actually no team in 1919. The school has had one other undefeated season 78 years ago. The 1940 team was 9-0. Fifth time they've been at the state title game for the Steelers, and to commemorate this milestone season, Farrell produced a really nice program that details the history of the football team. They put the 100th anniversary logo on T-shirts. Each player's helmet has a 100-year logo on it, and the school honored former players who passed away with a moment of silence, and also former players, band members, and cheerleaders were invited to form a tunnel for the Steelers as they entered the field before each home game. And the way it looks right now, you can add a second undefeated season and literally a perfect way to end this celebration campaign for the Farrell Steelers.
Yeah, couldn't script it any better, that's for sure. It doesn't always work out that way in those kind of celebrations. This pass hauled in by Jordan Townsend, and the completion will carry into Lackawanna Trail territory where it'll be first down. I am looking at that program, Jim, that Steve referenced, and it is some kind of a story that has been written by this program. This is the fourth straight year that they will have double digits in wins. That 2015 team was 14-2, 2016 went 10-4, 2017 11-3. And on the verge here of win number 15 here against no setbacks in 2018.
Yeah, did a nice job of losing, or getting that back from those losses that they had, those 2 losses in the semifinals the last couple of years. But as you said before, the chip on their shoulder from the 2015 game, the 2 losses in the semifinals the last couple of years, all have built on this team, and this is the production of it today, and you see how well they've done with it.
Wright lined up in the shotgun on second down and short. They fake the sweep and hand off to Lewis once and again. He has first down yardage, takes a pretty nice hit from Josh Brown. And the leading tackler, number 56, with 71 on the year. He's one of a dozen seniors for Lackawanna Trail that have rewritten what it means to wear that uniform right there. First ever championship game appearance. They were given a hero's welcome after winning last week and advancing to the championship game, returning to the community just a little north of Scranton, Pennsylvania. First carry of the game, this is number 9, Jaden Harrison. Harrison is sophomore. 107 carries, 741 yards. How about handing it to him for the first time? 741 yards. He's rushed for 8 touchdowns on the year. But it was interesting in talking with Coach Samuels. We were asking him about some of his two-ways guys. He says, we've had just about all Mercy Rule wins this year, and we've been in this scenario here where we've been able to develop a lot of those younger guys.
Yeah, and a lot of these guys have not played 4 quarters all year. Probably the only game they played 4 quarters was against Wilmington in that second game of the year, which is a really rivalry game for them, about 15 minutes away, the high school is. So it's been a nice situation that a lot of these younger guys have gotten a lot of reps.
Lewis again gets the call. That'll be the final play of quarter number 3. We're winding this one down. Farrell, 12 minutes away from a 3rd state championship, leading 48-7.
The Pennsylvania Farm Show, January on PCN.
The PCN family. Our roots run deep. What grew out of a plan to distribute educational programming has grown into the nation's leading statewide public affairs network. Since 1979, PCN has been supported by cable operators across the state. It is because of this generous support that PCN uses no state or federal tax dollars, reaching more than 10 million of our neighbors. Thank your cable operator. We do. Politics and policy, history and culture, sports. PCN is your place for Pennsylvania, on cable and on the PCN app.
Farrell's first appearance in a state title game came in 1990. They lost to Marian Catholic 21-13. That was played at Memorial Stadium in Middletown. They returned in 1995 and beat mighty Southern Columbia by a final of 6-0. Game played at Mansion Park in Altoona. Returned to Mansion Park in Altoona to face Southern Columbia once again and beat the Tigers 14-12. And their last one that we have talked about, 2015, losing to Bishop Guilfoyle 35-0. They have, if they came back here to atone for that, they've certainly done that. Of course, that revenge stuff to me is always something interesting. You can't take that title away from Bishop Guilfoyle. You can win one of your own here, and boy, Christian Lewis dancing into the end zone for a 5th time here this afternoon.
It's just been the story of the afternoon. Lackawanna Trail has not been able to handle the speed, and especially the speed of Christian Lewis, who's done a nice job. You're going to see it right here again. Look at the size of that hole, Mike. You and I could run through that hole, no question about it. The thing of it is, though, Lewis does a great job of waiting till it happens. Did a great job all afternoon of waiting for his blocks. This has been a premier performance by that offensive line, opening up holes for guys like Lewis and Wright all afternoon.
Yeah, you could have run through that hole. I might have picked up 2 yards. He picked up 29 and a touchdown. Farrell coming to Hershey. Mentioned that the trip from the border there on Pennsylvania-Ohio border is about 4 hours. They came into town yesterday, worked out at Milton Hershey High School. 11:51 away from a celebration that really, and we heard Coach Samuels talk about it. He says, we have not forgotten about 2015, didn't play the way we were capable of, and we let the linemen. And he's going to have that opportunity to have, I'll accept that one. I'll accept that guy right there, and that's going to be a big loss for this program. 57, it matches, ironic, he wears number 57 and will make 57 career starts. And none will be bigger than this one right here for big number 57, Kobe Hill.
Unbelievable afternoon for him, paving the way for guys like Christian Lewis to have like 240 yards on the afternoon. And as I said, Coach Samuels has exercised a lot of demons in the past couple of weeks. Beat his first Whippeal team last week, and now today going to be able to win that state championship.
Lewis through 3 quarters, 18 carries, 220 yards, and 4 touchdowns. He's added another. So he is now up over 250 yards. I'm not sure what the single A record is. I know I was paging through some things, and I guess 292 yards, I'm being told now, is the single A rushing record. I know I was looking through some things and saw that Parkland's Austin Scott had 251 in the 4A title game. And another punishing hit will draw a flag, and I think they're going to get targeting. That was Deshaun Sims, documented his story earlier. And then the thing to look for, did he lead with the crown of his helmet? And again, by rules, the Farrell folks not agreeing with it right now. And I think the rules and competition committees on all levels have done a great job on, let's listen in.
Have a personal foul on the kicking team. Illegal contact with the helmet, 15-yard penalty, first down.
It's not part of the game anymore. And as we mentioned, Jim, and we've seen it, Coach Samuels trying to get an explanation of it. Just can't use that helmet. Take another look at it.
Yeah, you're going to see right there as he had that helmet. Helmet-to-helmet contact is a definite anymore. You can, all the fans can boo on this side with the Farrell, contingent, but the thing of it is, you just can't have that, and that's one of the things they've done a better job at policing the game of football with those helmet-to-helmet contact
Yeah,
rules.
no question, and I get that it's hard, but if you're sitting at home and there's some guys out there that are the old schoolers saying, well, how are you supposed to play defense anymore? The right deal there is, number one, obviously you have to be lower, and the other thing is that helmet has to go across the body. And I really think that youth organizations, we talked about them earlier, and really the high school level, they're doing a great job in teaching a different technique to tackle in the proper way. That's appropriately called by the officials here.
Yep, absolutely. There's so many things they're doing good in the game now with all those donuts that they're tackling and all the different types of things that taking you away that head-to-head contact, because the sport is somewhat in trouble with some of the things that happen, that way. So you got to watch and you got to try to prevent as much as you can.
Yeah, no question. It's the safety of the players. Mentioned earlier that injuries are an unfortunate part of this game, and anything that they can do to try and limit that, especially certainly from the neck on up, is certainly a positive. And that's what that's all about. Rolka continuing to battle with this offense is their one more positive to this great season. There's a young man who'll be one of the leaders next year. He was voted, by the way, first team all-league up there in the Lackawanna division as an inside linebacker. He's a terrific fullback as well. He'll be one of the mainstays. Team best 155 carries for 1,312 yards on the season.
They got a lot they can build on next year, Mike. You got Richard Rodenbach is going to be a junior. He's coming back at the end and also at center. And you got Dunkel, as you talked about, at length. And you got guys like, the guys in the backfield that you're just talking about, Melankoff. They got a lot of things to build on. They're going to be tough to losing that quarterback because that quarterback position's been so important, especially in that wing tee for Coach Jarvis. But they got some guys that they can be able to build with next year.
There's Rolka on the keeper. Reminder, PIAA championship games are the exclusive property of the PIAA. Television coverage is licensed to PCN, whose exclusive rights are protected by federal copyright law. Any retransmission of any kind or other use of the television coverage of this game without the express written consent of the PIAA is prohibited by law. 31st year of these championships began in 1988, 21st consecutive year here at Hershey. Melnikoff battling. There's something about the pride of and it's probably poetic that they are the Lions. There's something about the pride of a football player and an athlete. It's been a great year. Look at that show of sportsmanship there, helping a Steelers guy up off the turf. They're in no way will Lackawanna Trail's season be defined by what has happened here. The fact that they were here will certainly be a big part of it, and make no mistake about it, it is quite a reward and an honor. And again, a program making their first appearance on this stage. We'll see what it does to them. Do we see them again over the next couple of years? It'll be exciting to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, it will be, and it'll be exciting to see how Coach Jarvis can really get some, people going in the right direction again. And you saw, the best thing about this 1A game, Mike, and a lot of times you have some mercy rules like we have today, but the best thing about these towns are like Hoosiers. Everybody's watched the movie Hoosiers, and everybody's seen how that takes place, where a little town that shouldn't be involved gets into the championship games. And these two places are exactly the same, both places, Farrell and Lackawanna Trail. Lackawanna Trail located in Factoryville, Farrell, outside almost into the state of Ohio. They're right at the edge of Pittsburgh, or right up north of Pittsburgh and right by the edge of Pennsylvania. So great job by both schools.
Melnikoff trying to give those folks across the way some few more moments to cheer about. I tell you, I'm looking over at their sidelines. They're a 21-yard gain. I'm looking at their sidelines, Jim. They barely have enough white uniforms over there for a second team. It's amazing how, look at it. It's barren over there. It's just a testament to the hard work and the dedication. We always talk about the dedication to the weight room. Can you imagine knowing that you're one of just 27 players and you have to stay healthy if you're going to be successful? The commitment that gives gives you in the offseason?
Well, the weight room has to be pivotal for these guys, both teams, and every team in that single A, double A level. The weight room's pivotal. You're going to see a group tomorrow. Again, Southern Columbia, an example of the weight room. Wilmington, an example of the weight room to get back to have a rematch. So you're going to see how that weight room plays into injury prevention and not just being bigger and stronger, but a lot of times the injury prevention. And I'm sure that Coach Jervis has to get, and the other thing is when you only have 27, you can take attendance real quick in that weight room.
Yeah, when guys aren't there and showing up. He's done a phenomenal job with this program. A couple of District 2 championships. Looking for one more shining moment. A little over 7 minutes to go here, fourth quarter. Melnikoff and the offense have moved the ball down the field. This time it'll be Rolka, the quarterback. Hit behind the line of scrimmage. He was stopped originally short of first down yardage, but he will move the markers once again. It'll be 1st and goal for the Lions. They took an early lead in this football game, recovered a fumble on the opening kickoff, and a couple of plays later, Melnikoff was into the end zone and a 7-0 lead, and it was only the 3rd time all year that the Steelers had trailed in a football game. It didn't last very long. Trying to add another score here. Melnikoff, blockers out in front, he's to the 5, into the end zone for a touchdown for Lackawanna.
Great job by that offensive line, giving them that hole on that left side. You talked about those guys that really did a good job. Rodenbach, those guys on that left-hand side, 67 as well. You're going to see, take a look at that lead block outside. You see Rodenbach buried his guy early in that. He did a nice job out front as well. But the thing of it is, they kept playing, they kept competing, got the touchdown.
Well, guys like Jacob Brim, Colin Mulhern, Robbie Davis, Richard Rodenbach, you mentioned Mark Dunkel. When you run this wing T, and we've seen it over the years, those linemen almost run as well as your running backs do. They're almost interchangeable the way they have to move and create those angles. Give credit to Farrell. They were ready for all that misdirection that creates, and they were obviously up to the challenge. But what a nice score there for Melnikoff in the offense. Timeout on the field. We'll step aside as well. Farrell's 6:26 away from a championship game win.
These days, life is busy, but amazing. From the sci-fi brilliance of technology to the existence of toast, we move at a crazy pace until this happens. Time for MedExpress. Walk right in, get the care you need, and get right back at it. MedExpress, because life is urgent.
PCN brings the distinct aspects of Pennsylvania and its residents to your favorite screen.
Hear from state government and community leaders during unedited, balanced coverage of politics and policy.
Dig into the rich history and culture of the state, presented by notable residents and historians.
Score a view of the best high school, college, and world-class athletes competing across the state, and much, much more.
Start exploring the Keystone State today on PCN and the PCN app.
I'm always amazed how our artisans they know their work very much so, and they can go into the back and each one can identify their work when it's completed in the back as well.
Tune in to PCN Tours to see the Buyer's Choice Museum, Friday, December 7th at 10:45 a.m.
Live and on demand, or to buy a copy of all the action. Details at PCNTV.com. The app void. Did you know you can watch this game in PIAA championships with the PCN app? Download the app on your favorite device to start streaming PIAA championships live and on demand, or buy a copy of all the action. Back to work here. Football is loose, and I think Lackawanna has come up with a loose football, and they have. So after just scoring a touchdown, they'll get their hands back on it. Lackawanna Trail is located in Factoryville in Wyoming County. Factoryville was home to one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball history. Here's Steve Degler with more.
That's right, Mike, and I have Jim Wills actually to thank for this one. Factoryville is the birthplace of Baseball Hall of Famer Christy Mathewson. The second Saturday in August is Christy Mathewson Day. To celebrate his August 12th birthday, there's actually been an award-winning documentary produced about all the activities surrounding Christy Mathewson Day. Mathewson was known as Big Six and Matty back in his playing days in the early 1900s. He was an original inductee when the Baseball Hall of Fame opened in 1939. In a 17-year career, primarily with the New York Giants, Mathewson won 373 games and had a career ERA of 2.13. He's tied for third all-time in wins and tied for eighth in Major League Baseball history in career earned run average. Put this to thought here, guys. Patrick Corbin, who has 56 career wins in the big leagues, just agreed to a $140 million contract with the Washington Nationals. What would Christy Mathewson be worth today in Major League Baseball?
Boy, can't you say that about a lot of those old-time baseball guys that have put up some incredible numbers? You're absolutely right. I don't know that organizations, I think you'd have to give them part ownership of the organization for the way some of those old-time guys perform.
No question about it. And Christy Mathewson is a great situation. And I had the fortunate time to stay 2 years at Keystone Junior College, which is located in Factoryville, and that's how I knew that trivia about Christy Mathewson, because that's one of the biggest guys they're proud of in the town of Factoryville.
Jim, I know you are, very familiar with that area up there. How important is this to Lackawanna Trail and the high school and the community? As I mentioned, they're not going to be defined about what happened here in this football game. It's just been a magical year and a magical run for these guys.
No question about it, Mike. And the thing of it is, as I said, it's like Hoosiers, and anybody who's ever watched the movie Hoosiers knows how the whole town rallies around the sport, and that's exactly what happened in Factoryville, exactly what happened in Farrell, those kind of things, and that's what I said. That's what's really neat about the 1A game that you don't get a lot of times in the other classifications. And, the team is the town, and they're synonymous in both, and that's what's the neatest part about it.
Well, and you can see a curtain call now for that starting defense, and Steve Degler mentioned it with Coach Samuels at halftime there, that the offense just gets so much recognition. But what a job by this defense in handling that wing T offense. And, he shared with us, he said, we really think we're ready. We know about the pulling guards and the angles and everything that they try, and we really like our scheme, and it's helped, obviously. Wilmington, by the way, the football team that runs the wing T, they were here earlier in support of Farrell. The two schools are located some 10, 15 miles apart, so pulling for one another coming out of district town.
And that's another great thing. You see a lot of camaraderie like that, and that was an outstanding thing to see Wilmington in the stands cheering on the team that beat them, in the second game of the season. So the thing of it is, that's a great camaraderie, great thing.
249 yards rushing here for Lewis, not a single A championship game record. Jeremiah Young of Steelton High Spire versus Sierra Catholic rushed for 292 yards in that championship final. Farrell has 495 total yards of offense. The single A record is 509. Southern Columbia recorded that back in 2005 against Duquesne. All second line guys in there right now. As I mentioned, Farrell has put in their second team. And the same for Lackawanna at the offensive side. New quarterback is number 7, Nico Barrios, a junior, 6'2". How about this guy? You talk about being a football player. He's an all-league performer at cornerback. He's listed as a wide receiver. He's now playing quarterback. He is the holder, and he also is the long snapper on punts.
That's what's called 1A football. Absolutely called 1A football.
Barrios up under center. And a timeout as they try and get everything organized. The running backs right now are number 10, Logan Steltz. Looks like number 11 in there, Jordan Edwards as well. Good one coming up tonight here from Hershey Park Stadium. Imhotep Charter and Cathedral Prep for a 4th consecutive year 11-2 for the Panthers. 12-3 for Cathedral Prep. We'll get everything underway at 7 p.m. Bob McCool, Ross Tucker will be on the call of that one. First of 3 days of championship action. Mentioned Lackawanna Trail. They're the only one representing District 2. District 3 has 3 representatives. District 4 has 1. District 7 a pair. District 10, Farrell is one of 3 in the tournament this year, and District 12 has a pair as the action continues. Last district or state champion for a District 2 team, we mentioned George Curry earlier, was back in 1997 when they won the final of their record 6 under the Hall of Fame head coach. District 2 has won 10 titles overall. Meanwhile, District 10 is on the verge of winning that district's 10th championship, the last coming, of course, by Cathedral Prep in each of the last 2 years. They're excited about having 3 representatives from District 10 in this weekend's championship.
Yeah, absolutely. You could tell when we were talking to them before the game how, and they said the camaraderie is good. They've had a lot of, good wishes from a lot of the teams that they played down the stretch. So a lot of camaraderie in District 10 and a lot of proud people seeing a lot of District 10 people competing at that highest level.
Going forward on 4th down, that was number 32 on the carry, Jahan Ella. Ella, a couple of tackles defensively on the year, an interception. He's a sophomore, 5'8", 160.
A lot of Gatorade baths taking place here on the sidelines for the Farrell.
Well, I know one thing. They got to watch where they pose for their pictures, because they got a big Gatorade bath right in front of one of those heaters. And I don't know that the heater didn't get doused. Breaking free is Logan Stelz. Stelz is senior, 5'8", 160, 10 carries, 311 yards on the year. Starting safety. Nice effort here offensively.
Yeah, take a look at that left side of the offensive line. Did a great job opening up that hole. Got him downfield. Got a good key block there from the tight end.
20 tackles, a fumble recovery, and an interception on the year for Stelz. And I like what Coach Jervis is doing here. He's giving these guys an opportunity to touch the football in the state final.
Yeah, that's a great opportunity. You're right. And, they just couldn't get into their game today, which is, running the football and controlling the tempo of the game. This year they had some great games, 57 carries versus Juniata, which broke their old record of 53 against Old Forge. So they've run the football, and they've run it a ton of times during football games this year.
Stelz knocked out of bounds a couple of yards shy of another touchdown. Melnikov, his afternoon appears to be over. A couple of touchdowns, and will wind up unofficially a couple of yards shy of 100. Ella and Stelz once again the running backs. And it is Ella, and he has spun around, may have lost a yard or 2. That is number 56, Josh Brown, on the stop. Excuse me, correct myself. Preston Williams, freshman, 6 foot, 320 pounds. A couple of tackles on the year. Then you get a look at big number 56.
He's a crowd favorite, Mike. The crowd erupted when they saw that tackle take place. Doing a good job at that nose guard position.
Ella now set as the lone back. Motion man is Edwards. Edwards has the football. He has the one. He has the end zone for a touchdown. By our numbers, that is Ella's first touchdown of the year. And what a time to score it in the state championship game. Getting an opportunity here late.
You take a look at it here as they send motion. And you're going to see number 11 doing a nice job of going into the end zone is Jordan Edwards.
Rolka looking to tack on the extra point.
Had a great year this year with extra points, 33 coming in, but this one gets blocked.
How about that's the first miss of the year for him? That'll be the first one.
And
Mentioned 33 for 33.
Yep.
And we'll wind up 2 for 3 here. And there you see the celebration for Williams as he was able to knife through there and come up with a block.
Freshman's had a couple of good moments here in the last couple of possessions.
Both coaches have been able to get some younger guys in there, finish off with some seniors as well, and great years for both these teams. Lions have scratched out 20 points now in the game. Farrell, as we mentioned, giving up a little under 7 per game, 6.9. We mentioned it earlier, Jim, when the game was taking and materializing and looking like it was going to develop into a shootout, and that was something the Lions just couldn't get into.
No, that's not their game. Their game is ball possession, as we just talked about with all the carries in those 2 games, and their game is move the chains. You know, don't get behind, be ahead most of the time, and work their way in. And that's just something that they can't afford to be involved in. And you know, they just ran into a team today that has 3 tremendous athletes. When we talk about, you know, the game that Lewis played, the game that Wright played, and the game that I shouldn't say that 3 athletes, I should say a whole group of athletes in that offensive defensive line.
Well, the 20 points here this afternoon will be the most allowed by Farrell all year. They had given up the 19 against Wilmington in week number 2, but prior to that they gave up 16 in their opening game win of the year against University Prep. Playoff high 10 allowed last week against Sacred Heart.
It's very rare, Mike, at this 1A level that you have athletes like Lewis, Wright, and Townsend. Those 3 guys, it's very, very rare to have those kind of athletes at this level. We've seen Clarendon come into this game with a couple of those situations, the Tyler Boyd years, all those kind of things. You know, but that's the kind of games you get then, is the games where those guys are dominant, and that's exactly what happened here today with the Farrell Steelers.
And confusion on both sides, and Lackawanna Trail now will use a timeout. Well, you talked about Christian Lewis and the outstanding 6-foot running back. He is Albany bound, and he was end zone bound for most of this afternoon.
Yeah, it didn't matter where they were on the field, you know, 40-yard, 50-yard, 30-yard runs, it didn't matter to him. It was all with the stiff arm and the ability to move his feet. Really good job right there, as you saw with the feet, getting himself open. And you're going to see one here where they had a couple of shots, and this is what we talked about. But once he got into that second tier, he's awfully tough to catch, and that speed comes into play. And there's another job with the feet, very good job there as well. So did a great job, and then they got a little bit of a delay here off of the quarterback Wright. Does a nice job of waiting for his blocks to take place. All around, good job by him here this afternoon.
Single season records for touchdowns in a year. He came in with 33. Rushing yards of 2,219. Again, they're playing football there 100 years. That's the best single season marks, and he has added big numbers to that. He sets a standard that might stand for another 100 years there at Farrell High School. But a record-setting year for Lewis and Wright, and the list goes on. And you know, now perhaps a fitting close to some careers that came up short a couple of years ago when they were freshmen. Mentioned Kobe Hilton was a starter in that game, part of 57 straight, matching the number on his uniform. Start number 57 will be one he and his teammates remember for a long, long time.
No question about it. There's an awful lingering effect when you get mercy ruled in this ball game right here, and they've had that effect when they were freshmen, and boy, they've come back and really atoned for it here today with an outstanding performance.
Trian Holden, a 5'9" freshman, is the new quarterback. He's thrown 1 pass on the year, completed that. Hasn't played a lot of minutes, but he'll have the distinction of taking the knee in the final play, and it'll be the perfect end to the perfect season for the Farrell Steelers. They are the champions 2018 Single A in the state of Pennsylvania. 55-20 Farrell in going away fashion here to improve to 15-0. award ceremony. Some thoughts from winning head coach Jared Samuels when we return.
Ready to relax before the stress of the holidays or need a last-minute Christmas gift idea? Sit down with PCN and hear from authors passionate about PA. Enjoy a marathon of this year's episodes of PA Books, December 17th through 21st. PCN, Pennsylvania History and Culture.
The Pennsylvania Supreme Court on PCN. Check PCNTV.com for listings. PCN, Pennsylvania's neighborhood.
The Pennsylvania Farm Show, January on PCN.
Hail to the victors, 55-20 Farrell, and head coach and graduate of the school, Jared Samuels, the program's third. They won back-to-back titles in 1994, again in 1995. Jim, we said it at half, too big, too fast, and the better football team here this afternoon.
No question about it. Too big, too fast, too much in total aspect. You know, not to take anything away from Lackawanna Trail as you see them getting their runner-up trophy right there. They did a tremendous job. They had a tremendous season. They have a ton to be proud of. It's a very, very great accomplishment to get to this stage, and being the runner-up in the state of Pennsylvania isn't anything to be shabby about. But today it was all about the running ability and the defense of the Farrell Steelers.
Well, mention that this will be the 10th overall title for District 10. Hickory won a AA crown in 89. Strong Vincent a 3A crown in 91. Sharpsville the single A champ in 97. Cathedral Prep a 4A title in 2000. General McLean 2006 a AAA title. Wilmington 2008 a AA championship. They'll look for another one tomorrow afternoon. And Cathedral Prep has won the last three, 2012 in 3A, a 4A title in 2016, and again last year they are the two-time defending champions. But Farrell certainly puts their mark, and it's been a long couple of years for Coach Samuels and this program. Mentioned to Steve Degler before the game that we are ecstatic to be back here with an opportunity to prove ourselves a little bit better than what we did in 2015. And boy, they did that, and they did it in a big way.
No question about it. Storybook ending for the 100th year of Farrell football. Couldn't have scripted this any better for them, Mike. And as they said, Coach Samuels, you know, that was a rough one a couple years ago against Bishop Guilfoyle with the mercy rule, but boy, they've come back with a vengeance here today and done a great job with winning the state championship.
Well, and we know on the other end, we know Steve Jervis, his message to that team is going to be what a great accomplishment for these guys. And, you know, a day or two, maybe even the bus ride home, you reflect on just what was a great year.
Yeah, no question about it. You got to reflect on the positive, because this just wasn't their day today.
Let's go down to Steve Degler and winning head coach Jared Samuels.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. Coach, first of all, congratulations. Who's your tailor? That's quick work in the T-shirt.
Just happy, man. Just so happy for these guys. This senior class, a special class, they've been with me forever. Since they were 6 years old, with my managers. They just an awesome group.
You talked about the 2015 team when these guys were freshmen, and you lost 35-0 to Bishop Guilfoyle. Redemption was the motivation. How's it feel right now?
It feels great. It feels great. I'm just taken back because my mother passed away this February. She couldn't be here with us, but she was their biggest fan, like she's my biggest fan. And for them, the whole season to dedicate it to her, for them to go out this way is just special. It just means so much to me. These guys dedicated a cancer research to her and everything. I love this group of seniors. Christian Lewis is the state player of the year, though.
You have a team that you mentioned, the seniors, and the offense and the defense clicking all day today. They came back after that 2015 loss and losing in the semifinals the last couple of years. What's it mean for this town? It's a football town. It's 100 years of football, and now you're state champs.
We had a lot of history, 100 years. We had a lot of failures, but this makes up for all my failures. This win right here erases every bad feeling we had. Farrell football, 100 years of football celebration. We had admission since August, and these guys capped it off for us.
And finally, you and your entire staff are graduates of the school. So personally, what does it feel to bring a championship back to Farrell?
City of Farrell, here we come. Celebrating another championship. The City of Champions, back on top. Once again, it's been a long time, but we finally did it.
Congratulations, Coach. Enjoy.
Thank you very much. God bless.
Pretty special player here, Christian Lewis, 249 yards, 5 touchdowns. I'm going to imagine you woke up this morning in the hotel not thinking maybe this was going to happen today. What a spectacular day for you. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Actually, before the game, my line came to me and they asked me what I wanted. I said 5 touchdowns, joking around, not thinking it was actually going to happen, and it did.
What are you going to get for Christmas then if you can ask for 5 touchdowns and get it?
I don't know.
You talk about your line, and that's a very talented group. How good are those guys up front?
They do it for me every week. I love them, my brothers.
We talked about you guys trying to bounce back from the adversity of losing the title in 2015 and falling in the semifinals last year. As a team, what did you guys do to rally around each other and be able to pull this off?
We grinded. We kept working. We just kept working.
All the weapons you guys have. Obviously, you were the star today with 5 touchdowns, but this is a true team effort with a lot of guys that can score from anywhere in the field, right?
Yes, sir.
And how about your defense? How much pride do you guys take in that?
Oh, our defense is tough. I think our defense is the best in the state.
Well, congratulations, 5 touchdowns. Go enjoy your state title.
Thank you.
Mike, Jim, back to you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, 6.9 points a game, and they were outstanding again defensively here tonight. We've got a lot more football to come. Our AAA final, or make that the quadruple A final tonight. Imhotep Charter Cathedral Prep. It'll all get underway tonight at 7 o'clock here on PCN, Pennsylvania's Championship Network. Certainly hope you enjoyed it. Dwayne Long, Paul Podolsky calling all the shots down in the truck. On behalf of Steve Degler, Jim Wills, and all of us here at PCN, I'm Mike Zambelli. Thanks for joining us this afternoon for Championship Football. We'll see you back here at Hershey at 7 o'clock tonight.